makes it automatic. Yes, nothing changes about each of those you get to review.
Okay.
And here, 6 o'clock.
See, I told you I didn't.
I am not.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We are ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded and can be viewed live on City of Las Vegas TV on Cox Cable Channel 2. You can also watch the meeting live online and access other city content by visiting lasvegasnevada.gov/connect. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on City of Las Vegas TV the Saturday after the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call to your attention the information. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, sir? Let's just start with that. Who asked for the volume increase? No? Is that better? All right. City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Taylor,
Present.
Vice Chair Kasama, excused. Commissioner Schlottman,
Present.
Commissioner Rogan,
Present.
Commissioner Walsh,
Present.
Commissioner DeSalvio,
Present.
Commissioner Munford, excused. Thank you, Chair. You have a quorum.
Thank you. I call to your attention the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Thank you. Next, we have public comment. During this portion of the agenda, public comment must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, please come to the podium and give your name and spell your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda?
Good evening, Robert Cunningham, 6030 South Jones Boulevard with Tanning Engineering. I'm representing item 40, which is going to be held tonight, but I wanted to know if there's anyone who came down for it that's in the audience. I will be in the back of the room, so that I'll be happy to meet with them separately if they have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, I will, thank you, sir, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Leonard Martin. I've come here in reference of item 23. I live 623 Harrison Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. Me along with the single-family home members on Van Buren and on Harrison, we all oppose this project. We feel that it is not appropriate in a single-family home neighborhood. We are in talks with Cindy Braden, the developer, and they have some site housing, townhouses, and condominiums that would fit right on this 0.33 acres of land. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And just so everybody knows, in case you are here to speak on item 23, do know that this will be heard tonight, so you're welcome to speak now, or you can wait until the item is heard as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll speak now. My name is Deidre Edmond Drew. I am the CEO of the Jackson Street Alliance, and I'm here also for item 23, and we are in favor of this being passed. The west side has just been in dire straits for so long, and having some movement, having some dirt flipped over in the ground would be a welcome sight into the historic west side. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm the CEO, but I'm also a property owner at 418 Jackson.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Thompson. I live at 601 Harrison Avenue. I am opposed to the project. By no means am I opposed to growth. That I do look forward to, but the project that's going to be put up, it will be in my backyard. I purchased that home for retirement, looking into the future, to retire with and have my children grow up there and my grandchildren. I did compose a letter. I formally expressed my opposition to position of the fourplex development plan for the northwest corner of Van Buren and Van Buren Avenue and F Street behind my property at 601 Harrison Avenue. While I understand the need for responsible development, I have significant concerns regarding the impact this project will have on our neighborhood. First and foremost, the introduction of a multi-residential building in this area raises serious concern regarding property value and neighborhood character. The community primary consists of single-family homes, and adding a fourplex could dramatically alter the density and the aesthetic appeal of the neighborhood. Additionally, I considered about the I'm also concerned about the increase in traffic and parking congestion. The addition of multiple units, each with multiple residents and vehicles, would exacerbate existing traffic flow issues and increase safety concerns regarding pedestrians, especially children and elderly people. Moreover, the primary and quality of life for adjacent homeowners will be significantly impacted. A multi-story building will result in a loss of privacy from my property and others sites nearby. The added noise, lighting, and overall activity from multiple families will disrupt the quiet enjoyment of our homes. I urge the Planning Committee to consider this proposal and explore alternative solutions that better align with the previous zoning and character of our community. If necessary, I request the opportunity to speak at an upcoming meeting to present these concerns in further detail. Thank you for your time and your attention to this matter. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am a community servant. I have served the community for many years, Clark County School District, and 26 plus years. I have children and children's children that are coming that have been there before. So I appreciate your ear. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. How many people are here for item 23? Ma'am, were you coming up to speak on item 20? Let me see, what have we... Okay, folks, so just so you know, when this item gets heard, then you can speak now or you can wait till the item is heard. But probably won't do repetitive speakers. So, just up to you folks.
Is it possible?
Yeah, I would like to speak, please.
Absolutely, ma'am. Please, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Miriam Gibson, and I'm here representing the people in the community with the new construction that's being proposed with the 22 units, Harrison F. and Van Buren. The neighbors are very much opposed to. They want you to table this until they have an opportunity to get more information about what is being actually put into their neighborhood. I understand that there are 22 units, but it haven't been defined as whether they're 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. What's the possibility of maybe somebody in the neighborhood qualifying to rent or buy these units? That's very, very important, because they're going to be probably displaced, and inconvenienced quite a bit. So they need to have an input as opposed to somebody just coming dropping something on them, telling them what they're going to do without at least talking and conversing with the neighbors in the area. I would appreciate if you guys would table this until further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your comments. Anybody else? Anybody else for public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we will close public comment under item number 4, and we'll welcome comments from other folks on item 23 if you're here for that when we get to that item. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, for possible action to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of February 11th, 2025.
Yes, Chairwoman, through you, a move to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission hearing on February 11th, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner Schlottman. There is a motion to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission of February 11th, 2025. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Oh,
Commissioner Walsh?
Screen's not working?
We'll take a verbal aye.
I will be fine.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, if we can please post, and the motion carries. All right, let's move on to number 6, our housekeeping items. Are there any items that commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Madam Chair, Nicole Eddowes for the record. Staff is requesting to hold item number 17 to the July 8th Planning Commission meeting to allow Neighborhood Services staff to continue working with the applicant. The applicant is requesting to table item number 18. The applicant is requesting to hold item number 20 to the April 8th Planning Commission meeting. Staff is requesting to hold item number 29 to the April 8th Planning Commission meeting. in order to add an additional application due to revisions received after public hearing notification. The applicant is requesting to hold item number 42 to the April 8th Planning Commission meeting, and staff is requesting to hold items number 10 through 16, item number 26, and items number 30 through number 41 due to a sign vendor notification error. These items will be renoticed for the April 8th Planning Commission meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eddowes. All right. Does anyone wish to speak? Does anyone wish to speak on any of the items that we have just addressed? Okay. Seeing none, if I could get a motion on the housekeeping items.
Yes, Chairwoman, through you, I would like to make a motion to hold in abeyance till the April 8th, 2025 Planning Commission hearing, items 10 through 16, 20A through 20C, 26A through 26D, 29A through 29C, 30 through 41, and 42A through 42B. And then on item number 17, to hold that item in advance until the July 8th, 2025 Planning Commission hearing, and items number 18A through 18D to table those particular items at 18A through 18D. That is my motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Schlottman. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
And if we could please post.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. All right. Now we'll move on to our consent items. These are considered routine by the Planning Commission and may be enacted by one motion. However, any item may be discussed if a commissioner, member, or applicant so desires. Can I get a motion on the consent items, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, through you, I'd like to make a motion. My motion would be a move to approve items 7 through 9, which are the consent agenda items, subject to conditions.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Schlottman. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Great. Please post. And that item carries. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, those items are final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 7 days.
Thank you. All right. Now we are going to, because we've held all of our one motion, one vote items, we are going to move on to our public hearing items. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so first we're going to do number 19, which is abeyance 24-0608-VAR1, applicant owner, actually, sorry, I want to pull forward 43 and 44. Sorry about that, guys. So items, let's start with item 43, which is in Director's Business, abeyance -24-0615, DIR1, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, discussion for possible action on adopting the Kyle Canyon Special Area Plan for the Kyle Canyon area, Ward 6, Bruni. Staff recommends approval.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Marco Vallada, City of Las Vegas, Department of Community Development for the record. Tonight I'm going to present to you the Kyle Canyon Special Area Plan and in its entirety. This is one of our special area plans that we have been working on in the Northwest, in addition to the La Madre Foothills, which you'll hear in a couple meetings from now. As we've gone through the 2050 master plan and its implementation, we've broken down different parts of the city. This one's a little bit different because it is in a suburban part of Las Vegas, a little bit different from how we've done downtown, East Las Vegas, and the Charleston areas. So this has a little bit of a different look and feel. I'd like to acknowledge Smith Group, who helped us with development of this over the past year, and as well as the La Madre Foothills Plan. And with that, I'll get into it. So again, the 2050 master plan provides the vision for Las Vegas over the next 30 years and contains land use goals and outcomes for that entire period. And it covers a wide range of different subjects. One of those is the adoption of special area plans built with community support. And so we did want to do additional outreach because we had some a lack of in-person opportunities during the pandemic. This was one of the ways that we could get out to individual neighborhoods and talk to people all across the city and different stakeholders to help set visions for different parts of Las Vegas. So in this case, you know, it helps to have these special area plans identify specific issues that fulfill the 2050 master plan, which is at the highest level. And with special area planning, we try to bring that down to the neighborhood and to the street level to try to get specific actions or issues identified and taken care of. Kyle Canyon is a bit unique because it is in this transition zone from the valley floor going up to Mount Charleston along Highway 157. It is an area that has existing development agreements with master plan communities, including Sunstone and Sky Canyon, as well as other developments that have been entitled and developed over time. For Kyle Canyon, we are looking at specifically the area north of Grand Teton, west of Durango, and essentially our city limits on the north and the western side, with a little bit of an exception on the north side, where we have an extension of the city going north of the Paiute tribal lands. This is effectively the northwestern gateway to the Las Vegas Valley and the Spring Mountains, and it has been a fast-growing area, and housing types and housing costs have been really dynamic. As it's developed over the past couple of decades, we've noticed a lot of need for new infrastructure and new services to go in here, and we have such fast growth that we have been trying to play catch up. And this area in particular is one that we wanted to take a little bit deeper dive on because of how fast-paced some of that has happened. When you look at our projections for the next 30 years, you know, this is a mostly suburban part of town, but there are specific needs that will have to go in over as the area continues to develop out. Certainly fire protection, schools, police, and then other things to help support the potential of 14,000 new units that would go in all throughout the area itself, not just the Kyle Canyon State Highway 157 corridor. So there are a lot of needs and pressures from economically, as well as the need to develop housing that is needed in the city of Las Vegas. There are some other unique attributes. You know, the lack of infrastructure we'll talk about a little bit further on, but this is one part of town where we have some unique attributes. You know, just the proximity to the Spring Mountains and the open space opportunities that are immediately nearby. So in terms of park space and things that are immediately nearby, there's a lot of opportunities to build and capitalize on that. But there's a lack of jobs. There's a lack of other facilities that might be needed to serve this community, especially considering things like water service, sewer service, drainage, things to that effect, as well as there's pretty much only one mode of transportation that can effectively be used to commute into downtown Las Vegas and the Strip, and that's the car. There could be opportunities to connect with existing or new trail networks that link other parts of the Las Vegas Valley. We did outreach throughout 2023 and 2024, and in a variety of different ways. We did some surveying online, we had some focus groups and did public visioning sessions, and we did have a committee of community members to talk through some of these issues. And what we heard from those, from those surveys, a lot of people that live here haven't been there for that long, obviously reflecting the fact that there's, this is a newer part of town. A lot of master plan communities themselves aren't that old. And most people, that are living here are in the millennial and Gen Z demographic. They do like to get out and recreate. They do like the ability to walk, but this is primarily a car-dominated location. A lot of people like that feel of having that peace and quiet. They like the scenery, the views of Mount Charleston and the Sheep Range, Gas Peak, the Strip to the south. I mean, it is definitely a desirable place to live, but there is also a high demand for having other amenities in the Northwest, entertainment and retail, having public safety, improving some of the existing developments, just reflecting the lack of some of the other activities that are not there. You have to go down to Centennial Hills for, or down to Sky Canyon for, because there isn't anything there just yet. So in terms of developing a vision, we wrote something that helps reflect this gateway and this opportunity to connect to the Spring Mountains and to Kyle Canyon itself. That Las Vegas has these abundant outdoor resources, and that we have these views of the heights and the lights that really commits Las Vegas to a good future, and this part of town in particular. The plan itself is divided into 5 sections. We talk about the land itself, the quality of place, outdoor recreation, and having some of the infrastructure and complete streets to help get people connected and moving around. So these individual sections are effectively policy statements that our planning staff can make use of as we see entitlement applications and capital projects get proposed. And we can utilize these in such a way that we can help make recommendations for the Planning Commission, for City Council, on what should be approved and maybe how things need to be conditioned when we consider them. When it comes to the land itself, we want to take a look at projects that are complying with our Title 19 zoning code and that are respecting the desert, the Mojave Desert landscape that are out there now, keeping in mind that we have a drought going on. We have a situation where we have to be conscious of how water is being consumed in a residential setting, and that we have extreme heat. We have an urban heat island effect that, yes, does affect this part of town as well. So urban forestry, the landscaping that needs to go in to complement these communities that have been built or will be built needs to be appropriate and respective to the changing conditions with water consumption. So the recommendations that are discussed in this section really go back to the SNWA approved landscaping list and ensuring that all the codes with respect to water consumption are adhered to, and that any development that comes in, really has that thoughtful, context-sensitive design in mind, that we're thinking about the connections to Tule Springs National Monument, to the Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area, which does come all the way up to this part of town. And that we think about, the existing alluvial fan that is there, the drainage that's coming off of Mount Charleston and the Spring Mountains themselves. in terms of place, we think about, what are the range of housing opportunities that could be available? And, this is a unique part of town where we don't want to, really impact every single part of it, fill in every single part of Kyle Canyon with density, but there might be opportunities for specific nodes of commercial and mixed-use development, perhaps most closest to the Interstate 11, US 95 corridor, and where we can make those opportunities at a smaller or micro scale to have that unique placemaking happen, similar to perhaps some of the developments at, Durango and 95, where we have the Village of Centennial Springs, having some attached product, having some product that is really integrated with commercial use that complements the proposed station casinos at I-11 and Kyle Canyon. Those are the types of things that could help really bring amenities to this part of town where there are some now, and done in such a way that is thoughtful and not, not at a scale that is overbearing. So again, when we think of place, how do we make sure that we get those amenities in there, and where do they go? This gets us to the land use plan itself. Essentially, we're looking at, in the northwesternmost quadrant of Kyle Canyon, having a tapered range of density and intensity from east to west, having more intensity near the Kyle Canyon I-11 interchange, with more housing units, more density on the eastern end, and then slowly tapering off as you get further to the west past Sheep Mountain Parkway, past Rufus Road, and tying into the unincorporated county lands where, again, it's lower density as you go further and further west up the mountain to Kyle Canyon itself. So we propose essentially a pattern here that you can utilize to make judgment calls for individual entitlement applications as they come through. And ultimately, what we're looking for is something in which general plan amendments and zoning applications that come in, if they align with this plan, we would have those considered and be recommended for approval or denial based on how they are consistent with that. In terms of recreation, again, we want to complement the desert edge. Where possible, there are opportunities for parks and trails to go into the Spring Mountains, into the Desert National Wildlife Refuge, into the National Monument. There are a lot of facilities there that have not been developed just yet. But where we can do that, we would like to increase those opportunities. We have a few parks that have been built or are about to be built through development agreements, including Allen Beck and Igor Soldo parks. We have a new park, which we'll see here in just a minute, the Northwestern Regional Park, which is an entire complex full of athletic fields as well as playgrounds and traditional park amenities, and then linking those together, trailheads that can integrate into the Vegas Valley Rim Trail to go to the north, to the east, and to the south around the city itself, and then a new trail along Kyle Canyon Road, the Yucca to Bristlecone Trail that was a part of the last master plan amendment that would essentially parallel Highway 157 all the way up to Kyle Canyon and tie into the trail system up there. So with this Northwestern Regional Park, we're anticipating a comprehensive CCSD high school being built in the southwestern quadrant, as well as baseball and softball facilities. And on the eastern half of the site, the Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad, which in about 100 years ago came up from downtown Las Vegas, went through this area into the and then on into Indian Springs and up to Goldfield and Tonopah. There is a Y here, essentially a rail siding where logging would be, from Mount Charleston would come and rail cars were loaded up to be transported back to Las Vegas. That will all be reflected as far as the history of this, unique history as part of this part of town, and really kind of incorporating a trail into the park design itself. The trail system would connect with the streets, and again, because we have a lot of people that are recreationally minded, having the ability to connect to on-street facilities as well as off-street facilities is important. So with those streets themselves, thinking about how we can build better, and Highway 157 itself has been a focus of this planning effort. That is an NDOT facility. We are trying our best to work with NDOT on how we can develop a facility that is a little bit slower in speed and incorporate things to slow vehicle traffic down and provide a safer space for both vehicles and bicyclists. That particular roadway, we're working on some design plans that would include roundabouts at certain intersections along the road, as well as the trail itself that parallels it. Ultimately, though, we're wanting to carry forward our Vision Zero for Las Vegas into this area and incorporate the street hierarchy that we already have incorporated into our zoning code, as well as provide opportunities for transportation electrification and access to regional connections. There is a park and ride facility that, as a part of the Sky Canyon Development Agreement, that would be built at Kyle Canyon and US 95 for potential future express service into downtown Las Vegas. And again, with Kyle Canyon Road, that's something that we've been working with NDOT on, and as individual entitlement applications have come in already, working with the designers on some of the existing permits that have been approved to, again, try to look at that cross-section and make sure that we don't have a massive superhighway that's being built all the way up to Mount Charleston, really being context sensitive and trying to get a design that's appropriate for that corridor. That leads us into the last section, which is the investments. So Kyle Canyon essentially is going to have a number of challenges with respect to infrastructure. First and foremost, the Las Vegas Valley Water District has limited facilities, and you'll see here in just a couple seconds that there are some immediate capital challenges to building anything new at a certain point because of where existing water infrastructure is, where existing sewer infrastructure is, and then of course flood control and flood protection for some of the sites. This is also the gateway to the rest of the state of Nevada with respect to NV Energy system. We have transmission lines that have been approved through Senate Bill 448 and through some of the NV Energy dockets that have been approved for Greenlink West that come right into the Northwestern substation at Moccasin Road and about Sheep Mountain Parkway. So we have those transmission lines that are there already, making for a pretty an industrial atmosphere as it is. So considering that and the branches that are there, how do we mitigate some of the, some of that is existing already? So with those investments, there's the underlying, as growth is coming, we need to make sure that we provide the same services that we're providing everywhere else throughout the city. As we see in Summerlin, as new development comes, also coming down the line are the schools, the fire protection, the police substation, and we don't know at this point where some of those facilities go. I mean, some of them, like the comprehensive high school, some of the other educational facilities, we do know, but there are some that we don't because parcels haven't been purchased yet. But ultimately, what we're trying to underscore is that this has a big price tag. And in the appendix of the plan, you'll see that there are in 2024 dollars, there's at least $500 million worth of infrastructure that needs to be paid for, primarily in the water, sewer, and flood control realms. With respect to the water, there are a couple of reservoirs located to the south in the Centennial Hills and a few tanks in the La Madre foothills. And working with Las Vegas Valley Water District, there are unfunded needs that aren't appearing on any capital program, but there have been reservations made for BLM land for future reservoirs in higher pressure zones. And one of the considerations that needs to be made is these pressure zones themselves require engineering in order to get to. And as development occurs, we can't exactly leapfrog from one area to another because of where the pressure is and what is being served further to the west and further to the east and further to the south. The areas in green right now in terms of development are already served by the Las Vegas Valley Water District, but the areas in orange and red cannot be served until those future reservoirs and future laterals get constructed. And those typically are built with development agreements. We have special improvement districts that are constructed, and those go towards paying for those ultimate facilities. So those are costs that are up in the almost $50 million range just for some of those, as well as some of the transmission pipelines that have to be built not only in Kyle Canyon, but to the south in the La Madre foothills. For flood control, there are a number of regional flood control district facilities that have already been identified. Some major detention basins that have already been built, but new conveyance that needs to be built to the east along Moccasin Road to get to their ultimate receiving point, which is in the upper Las Vegas Wash subwatershed. So essentially to where Floyd Lamb Park is. Those facilities also would need a special improvement district or something like that in order to be built in a traditional sense. We know where those flows are. Certainly Kyle Canyon and Moccasin would be where those major facilities go, and ultimately some modifications to some of the existing detention basins that are on the east side of the freeway. Sewer is kind of similar to water. As we have water that's built, we also need the sewer to go along with it. With the exception of development to the north with the Las Vegas Patio tribe or the upper Las Vegas Wash development in the Newegg High area, there are facilities that have been identified, again, along Kyle Canyon Road and along Moccasin to, again, provide that service for development as it comes in. So those are some major challenges that we have to consider. There isn't necessarily a clear path, but what this plan does provide is some direction and consideration for how we work with our regional stakeholders and, specifically our Public Works Department as to how to provide those facilities. And we have a number of options that we can consider in terms of how those development, are there assemblages of properties that come together that could be utilized to help form some of the special improvement districts to pay for some of those big ticket items? Or do we work on it on an incremental individual basis as we go further from east to the west? Ultimately, this plan provides us a direction. It's a starting point for the future. And admittedly, this is one of those fast-moving development areas that we have not had a previous planning effort here. I think the previous one that we had looked at dates back to the early 2000s. And it certainly wasn't comprehensive considering some of these needs. And it's also unique in that we have a number of individual property owners instead of one single one, making it all the more a little bit more difficult to navigate. But that being said, we have policy that will be utilized by our planning staff to help you make decisions on how to approve general plan amendments, zonings, or other planning applications that come along. And with that, if there are any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mr. Vallata, and thank you for all of the hard work you and your team and the whole city team has put into this. Is there any type of staff report on this item?
Madam Chair, that was our staff report,
Okay,
but
just
we're
wanted to make
happy
sure there
to
wasn't
answer any
anything separate.
question. Yeah, no,
Perfect.
that's,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Floyd. All right, this item has been noticed for public hearing, so if there is anyone, member of the public wishing to provide comments on this item, please come down to the podium. Good evening, sir. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name's Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. I'm here representing Clearway Energy. I want to make a couple comments on the plan. First of all and foremost, as Madam Chair, as you mentioned, I want to thank your staff and Marco. They've worked very hard over the last, it seems like, few years on this project. It's been moving fairly quickly, put a lot of stuff together, and all of your consultants. Our client has been a part of this process with respect to adding comments with respect to the plan that you see here. The one thing that I want to point out on the overhead is, because I do know, and we talked today, and to clarify everything, that we would have to come back for a general plan amendment requesting a change to the plan that you've seen here. But if I could get your attention on the overhead here fairly quickly, I could wrap everything up and just explain what the intent is. So if you zoom in this area right here that I'm showing you, this is the Kyle Canyon Road. This is the US 95. Up in this area, we have Log Cabin Way, and essentially in the northeast corner of Pulley and Log Cabin Way. We have about 15 acres here, as you see, is crosshatched in orange. This area is in blue, which is a plan for public facilities. As a matter of fact, as was just mentioned, you have the Nevada substation, NVE substation in this area here. We are looking to place on private property here, we are in contract for a battery energy storage station. We're looking to go through that process, and when we do, one of the applications, or a few of the applications we'll be asking for, is changing this area to public facility and to come in for the civic zoning along with the site development plan review to address the use on the property. So for information purposes here, we understand that this is a guide that's here tonight. I do and will remind you when I stand back up here in a few months as we go through that process that our concern, or at least what our comments on the record is, we'd like to see that blue, to be a public facility, but we understand we'll come back for a general plan amendment at that point in time, and this will be that 15 acres that I would say. Remember, I stood up here in March and we made some comments on that plan. So otherwise, I want to thank your staff, and I want to make sure for the record that we continue to work on all the way through City Council on this.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer. Anybody else wishing to make comments on this item from the public? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment and turn this back over to the commission, starting with myself. Thanks, Mr. Vallata, again, for all the work. I know that you and I were at several of these meetings, public forums, charrettes, discussions with our neighbors about how this should look. And I really appreciate the fact that there had not been a comprehensive vision put together for Kyle Canyon Road prior to the work that started on this shortly after, I think, Councilwoman Bruni took office, so March or so of '23. But it's a unique property because it's not like some of the other areas that you guys have had an opportunity to work on master development agreements, because you have like sort of a patchwork of landowners. It's a little bit unique. So really just kind of wanted to highlight again that this is the first time for this road and for this area that this has had a collective and holistic vision. And before this, although it was subject to 2050's master plan, there hadn't been the kind of planning that we see in this. And so I'm really grateful to have been part of this process from the very start and part of the initiation of this special plan. The other thing I just want to sort of comment on is, again, the importance of this, because we had seen prior to this, and we've been trying to work with projects as they've come in to try to set them up to meet this vision as we go forward. But there had been sort of like a patchwork of zoning applications, taverns, gas stations, things that maybe under this vision wouldn't have been part of what we saw, approved or to be developed up the road. And so again, glad that we can now finally have this vision and sort of a policy statement to get a holistic kind of treatment of how we grow this really unique and special area, which I've talked about before, how much Kyle Canyon Road means to me as a resident of the Northwest. And I really appreciate that the plan has called out specific things related to maintaining the environmental sensitivities on Kyle Canyon Road, maintaining conservation, light pollution, keeping our heat islands down. And so I think would appreciate if you have a few more highlights, Mr. Vallada, about mitigating ecosystem disruption as we look at how we develop this. And I'd also really be curious, because I don't know that we've seen this really traditionally in Ward 6 projects, but some of the discussions about not having traditional block walls around our projects. Would love to hear some of your thoughts on how that looks, and then finally, any thoughts about sort of maintaining, again, those views and vistas as we move forward with sort of height guidance on projects.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, Madam Chair, Marco Vallada, again, for the record. So, last night I was flying back from Carson City, and, as we're coming in on approach, you can see out in the horizon, I look for these 4 radio antennas. They stick out. They're north of the golf course, but, really the edge of the horizon where the lights of the city meet the darkness, I can see out there, and that's it for the city of Las Vegas in terms of growth to the northwest. I mean, this is essentially the last spot within the city itself in which we do new subdivisions, new development like that. Everything else is infill and redevelopment for us. So our approach is certainly a lot different here, and this is a balancing act between a lot of different forces. We had a lot of comments about what people wanted to see and what they didn't want to see in this area, and we really kind of walk a line because we're right at that edge between the desert and the city, and there is this interface between the two that I think this plan is trying to capture. It's trying to be sensitive to. So with respect to the ecosystem, we do have Title 19. What comes next, if this is approved tonight and goes on to City Council, there will be a resolution, and we've talked about what goes into that resolution to again affirm the contents of this plan and really take some of those considerations with respect to the development and how it's phased, where it goes, and specific conditions that might occur. If there are conditions, if there are situations where, infrastructure is just not there yet, I mean, that will be something that staff is going to have to consider as a part of their analysis and as a part of their findings. Same goes with our development standards in Title 19, 06 and 08 with respect to walls and how fences go in. Right now we have that to go on, and we do recommend certain things, especially near the northwestern substation with respect to trees, landscaping. How can we work with applicants and how do we work along the right-of-way to again, mitigate some of the, some of the infrastructure that's out there that is certainly necessary for the rest of the city and for, some of the larger goals of the entire state. Preserving that, that look and feel for, the Spring Mountains itself, Mount Charleston, Gas Peak, where we can do that and where we can work with applicants. I mean, I think you'll find that within these sections, and we'll certainly make sure that that's reflected in the resolution that adopts the plan itself.
Thank you, and just indulgence, since this is a really big item and really important for going forward, just a few more questions. I wanted to ask to Mr. Vallata, when you talk about stakeholders, we're not just talking about folks in the city, because there's multi-jurisdictions as you go up the mountain. So can you speak a little bit about work that was done specifically with, say, the county, or work that still needs to be done with the county as we look to future development up Kyle Canyon Road?
Certainly. Marco Vallata again for the record. We did reach out, of course, to the county as well as to our other regional stakeholders to, again, make them aware of this planning process and what some of the, what some of the things are at play. And again, we are abutting both the county itself as well as federal and tribal land. So, there is that outreach. We did have a number of meetings with those stakeholders in particular with this, and as I'm sure you can imagine, as we go on with individual entitlements themselves or individual applications as they come in that are getting close to respective boundaries, we'll make sure that there's that notification that takes place and that the commissioners or the other stakeholders are aware. Certainly, we've had a lot of conversations with the Water District and the and some of the other departments of the city, Public Works in particular, about the infrastructure piece of it. I mean, that's going to be the thing that really is defining as to how this goes in, as well as ultimately, how do we set up the mechanisms to make the infrastructure pay for itself over the long term. That's going to be future work. And I think it's spoken to, it's addressed in both the appendix and the plan, but I think rest assured, we're going to continue that dialogue between entities and all the stakeholders that are involved, and of course, making sure that the public is aware of it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vallata. And then just again, to sort of round out the discussion of how this works. So this is a set of recommendations. This is a vision for Kyle Canyon. As projects come in, what would it look like in terms of sort of deviation from, say, a density recommendation? Are there, are we bound any more or less than we are with any other piece of development that comes before us?
Certainly. Marco Vallata for the record. Again, I mean, at the end of the day, we're following all the procedures that are laid out in Title 19, and the plan itself, as this is a little bit different because this is kind of a sub-plan of the larger plan that has been adopted by the Commission and City Council already. But at the end of the day, you have recommendations in staff report that are based on this. They're trying to achieve the larger outcomes, the goals and the policies of the 2050 plan, which are these are in direct alignment with each other. So right now, yeah, you have a PCD designation for that northwestern quadrant of Kyle Canyon. You have zoning that's a little bit on the residential side and commercial side close to the interchange, and then for everything else that's pretty much undeveloped. You're going to ultimately have staff recommendations that have looked through this and they've looked through the 2050 plan and are making sure that we're addressing all of those different checkboxes. So it's going to be a little bit different than before, and you're not going to have straight density like 8 dwelling units per acre, which is pretty much what it is right now for the vast majority of it. You can make those decisions, and ultimately it's the discretion of the Planning Commission and City Council as to how what those findings are and how much it aligns, and we'll make sure that we advise you accordingly based on how those projects work. And then of course Public Works, we're going to make sure that we're not setting up a situation where there's there isn't adequate service that's there.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else from the commission have comments on this? No? Oh, Commissioner Munford.
Hey, I'm part Native American, so I know Benny and them out at the Paiutes. Have they said anything about the plan or for the Snow Mountain Paiutes? Had they had any concerns?
Yep, Mark Valada, for the record, through the chair to you. We did talk to Chairman Zoe earlier this year. There wasn't anything that was brought up at that point. But again, I mean, we're, as part of that outreach, just in the conversation with them, I think we, between Councilwoman Bruni and, planning staff, we reaffirmed that we want to be that partner with the tribe, and we want to be respectful of any concerns that they have, as well as supportive of anything that they're wanting to do. So I think we want to continue that relationship on, and again, nothing really specific came up about this, and there were certainly.
I spoke to Chairman last week, and they are planning some expansion out there with their hospitality. I think they're going to put a hotel out there.
Yep.
So, and they might like, the plan, and seeing more people coming out there, might work with what they're doing. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Nobody else has any comments? Just want to say thank you again, and thank you for all the work, and thank you for all the opportunities for our community to weigh in on this and to really provide input as to what they want to see going up Kyle Canyon Road, because Mount Charleston and Kyle Canyon Road and up to Mount Charleston is a really special place. It's very unique in Southern Nevada. And so whatever we can do to sort of balance, again, needed development with that, the ecosystem there and the sort of specialness of Kyle Canyon is so appreciated. And so with that, I will make a motion to approve the Kyle Canyon Special Area Plan for the Kyle Canyon area.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, post, and that carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Vallada.
And Madam Chair, that will move on to City Council on April 16th.
Okay, next up, I would like to call item 44, 25-0024-TXT1, applicant owner, thank you, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a request to amend the Town Center Development Standards Manual to add open-air vending and transient sales lot use as a special use permit to the SX-TC Suburban Mixed Use Special Land Use District, and to provide for all other related matters. Do we have a staff report on this?
Madam Chair, this amendment will allow the open-air vending transient sales lot use in the Suburban Mixed Use Special Land Use District, also known as SXTC, within Town Center with an approved special use permit. The Suburban Mixed Use District is characterized by a mixture of compatible land uses, either having a horizontal or vertical design element that maximizes employment and housing opportunities. As such, the use would be compatible with other uses within the Suburban Mixed Use Special Land Use District, subject to minimum special use permit requirements. Staff has no recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry, this item has also been noticed for public hearing. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard, please come down to the podium. Seeing none, I will close public hearing and turn it back over to the commission for discussion. Does anyone have any comments on this item? No? Okay, great. Okay. Given that the town center area is mostly in Ward 6, I'll go ahead and make a motion on this text amendment to approve it. There is a motion on the floor to approve. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Thank you. Please post. And that carries.
And Madam Chair, that item will move on to City Council in ordinance form.
Thank you. Okay, next up, going back to item 19. Abeyance 24-0608, VAR1, applicant owner Blanca Gonzalez Orozco, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing residential accessory structure, casita, that does not conform to Title 19.06 development standards for placement and separation at 312 Zion Drive, Ward 1, Knutson. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Good evening, Madam Chair. Steve Swanton, Senior Planner, Community Development. Staff finds the request to be preferential and a self-imposed hardship, as interior access from the converted garage to the main house is feasible. Therefore, staff recommends denial. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. If you could please state your name and spell it for the record, and tell us about your project.
Hi, everyone. My name is Blanca Gonzalez. I live in 312 Zion Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89107. I'm here to hear the decision to my garage conversion on my property. I was here last month, my brother, to help me. Support.
Do you have any pictures or anything you want to show us?
I sent all the plans
Okay.
and everything, and inspector was on my house like 3 weeks ago to see the possibility.
Inspector was
Okay.
there and just waiting for approval or decision from you guys.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure you were able to present everything you wanted to present, so. Okay, this item has been noticed for public hearing. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard, please come down to the podium. Okay, seeing none, I will close public hearing and pass this back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm the inspector that went out a few weeks ago and met with Blanca. I think the conversion is fine as long as the builder can provide the emergency escape and rescue openings that are needed. So I think staff has prepared an additional condition if they could provide that to us, please.
Yes, through the chair. That added condition would be the applicant shall provide the required emergency escape and rescue openings as indicated in the International Residential Code, IRC.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else? Anything else, Commissioner Rogan?
Nothing from me.
Okay,
I'm ready to make a motion if there's no further comment.
any further comment? Does not appear so. Please make your motion.
With regard to agenda item 19, project 24-0608 VAR1, make a motion for approval subject to all conditions and additional conditions read into the record this evening.
And you agreed to all those conditions?
Yes.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Commissioner Walsh? No, that's okay. Great. Please post, and that carries. Thank you, folks.
And that is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
And next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 21, abeyance -24-0638 VAR1, applicant owner Martin Mendez Nolasco for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing patio cover carport and a proposed patio cover porch that do not conform to Title 19.06 development standards for setbacks, placement, size, and lot coverage at 4921 Elmhurst Lane, Ward 5, Summers, Armstrong. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, the applicant has revised their site plan and are no longer requesting a variance for the front porch, as it now meets the front yard setback requirement. This also eliminated the need for a variance request to allow the accessory structures to exceed 50% of the floor area of the primary structure. At this time, the applicant is only seeking a variance for the side yard carport with a 0-foot side setback, which staff recommends denial of due to the request being a self-imposed hardship. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ma'am. If you could please state and spell your name for the record and tell us about your project.
Absolutely. My name's Rebecca Simon, S-I-M-O-N, from Plata Design, and 5940 South Rainbow Road, Unit 3005, on behalf of the owner. Like I said, we did reduce the setback for the proposed porch, so that is now within the front setback. And so that does alleviate that 50% of the total area. And then we are just asking for the 0 setback for the carport. We do also understand that this will have to be sent to the building department and approved and get all plans and calculations done necessary. We did. We also do already have on our plans that there will be a firewall included. So that has been discussed with the owner and approved by the owner for those plans. And that is all I have for you.
Okay, thank you very much. This item has been noticed for public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard on this item? If so, please come down. All right, seeing none, I will close public hearing and I will pass it back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Munford.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
On that firewall, that seems to be the only issue that we have with all this. What is it? Because that was originally recommended by was that recommended by the fire department?
Due to the setback, it would have to be fire rated, so we did include those in our plans.
So it will meet the fire rating of
Yes.
what the fire department recommends?
Yes, that is correct, yeah.
Okay, all right. That's the only question I have.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the commission? Seeing none, Commissioner Munford, are you prepared to make a motion?
I motion to approve on conditions of the planning department and I motion to approve.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Thank you. Please post. And that carries, subject to all conditions.
And that will move on to City Council on April 16th.
All right. Next, we have item 22, abeyance 24-0646-VAR1, applicant owner Jose Jauregui for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing accessory structure, storage, and repair shop building that does not conform to Title 19.06 development standards for setbacks, size, and coverage at 1020 East Oakey. Staff recommends denial.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Simon. Oh,
Let me
sorry,
do-
go ahead.
May I have the staff report, please?
Oh, sorry. Got a little.
Madam Chair, the applicant has revised their site plan by eliminating the connecting addition between the two original accessory structures, which eliminated the request for a rear lot coverage variance and is now requesting to allow a 0-foot rear yard setback for the two 89-square-foot storage sheds in the rear yard. Staff maintains their recommendation of denial as this remains a self-imposed hardship. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again. If you could please state your name and spell it for the record.
Yes, my name's Rebecca Simon, S-I-M-O-N, from Plata Design, 5940 South Rainbow Road, Unit 3005. We did remove when we came last meeting, the storage area was part of the initial plans, but after discussion, we did go ahead and remove that middle storage area and the breezeway, so those are no longer existing. The owner is actually demolishing them as we speak. So we are just asking for the two remaining storage areas. Those were there when the property owner did buy the property. Yeah, so we are just asking for that setback reduction in the rear, and yeah, that's all we need right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This item has been noticed for public hearing. I will open the public hearing for anybody who wishes to come to the podium to speak about this item. Seeing none, I will close public hearing and pass this item back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Schlottman.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Through you, a couple of questions or comments. We've seen this last month. There was a lot going on this particular application, and it was extremely confusing, and even the aerial photos made me think that there was a roof structure over this entire property. So thanks for holding this in abeyance for 30 days, bringing it back with a cleaner plan. Just going to reiterate the title of this document states that this will allow an accessory structure and in quotes or parentheses, storage and repair shop building that does not conform to Title 19.06. And I just want to reiterate, this isn't a commercial property. We're not rezoning this as a commercial property. There has been a little bit of confusion with people seeing the sign that's been posted thinking it's a commercial property, and a lot of them thought it was a commercial property because your client has had a lot of vehicles in the front yard that they've been working on and making it look like a commercial property. So they're going to have to really regulate that, make sure that they're not doing that. But I appreciate you moving out that whatever they built between those two storage sheds that were there. They're less than 10 by 10 each. They look like they've been there for 50 years, and that looks like what almost everybody else has in their backyard within that entire block in that neighborhood. So I'm okay with this. I wasn't okay with the larger structure that was connecting the other two structures. I'm glad you got rid of the breezeway. There was just way too much going on. We connected the house. This isn't a separate rental unit, and it needs to be treated as a single-family house. So if you're agreeing to all of those things and you agree to all the staff's conditions, I can now support this and the new plans.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, and you agree to all staff's conditions?
Yes, we agree to all
Thank
staff's
you.
conditions.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other members of the commission? Go ahead, Commissioner DeSalvio.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Through you, the structure, has it been removed, the one that we're talking about?
Yes, so this is the existing site plan, so it had that storage area and the breezeway. That is currently being demolished, so it is just going to be the two storage, and then the breezeway is completely gone.
Thank you very much.
Seeing no other comments, Commissioner Schlottman, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, Chairwoman. And how much longer do they need to tear down that structure?
I can confirm with the owner and go ahead and email you, but they are currently tearing it down right now.
What's down right now?
They're currently tearing this area down right now. So
Okay.
I know the inspector went out and did look at the property, and he is speaking with the, because this came from a code violation, so I know that he has been talking with the code enforcement officer and emailing him back and forth pictures and things of the demolition as well.
Okay, all right. Madam Chair, through you, I'd like to make a motion on 22, abeyance 24-0646, VAR 1, move to approve, subject to staff's conditions.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Thank you. Please post. And that motion carries.
And
you
Madam
for
Chair,
your time.
that is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have abeyance and a re-notification for 24-0647, SDR1, applicant Oikos Development Corporation, owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 4-story, 22-unit multifamily residential building at the northwest corner of Van Buren Avenue and F Street, Ward 5, Summers Armstrong. Staff recommends approval. May we please have the staff report?
Madam Chair, the proposed development supports goals and policies identified in the 2050 Master Plan and Vision 2045 Downtown Master Plan. Staff finds that the proposed development can be harmonious and compatible with the surrounding area and therefore recommends approval subject to conditions. Please note there were additional documents of protest received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. If you would please state and spell your name for the record and tell us about the project.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Bob Gronauer, 1980 Festival Plaza Drive. To my right is the applicant, the representative, Chico Clark. He's here to answer any other questions that you may have with respect to the development of the parcel and the process that he's gone through and his company's gone through to get to where we are today. So the first thing I'd like to do is just orient you to the location of the property. This is, as you've heard earlier on public comments, there are some neighbors already who've spoken, I think a neighbor spoke in support, but there were others that spoke in opposition to the project. This is located in Las Vegas and downtown, known as the West Side. More specifically, what you have is this piece of property is located on the northwest corner of Van Buren, which is down to the south of the property, and to the east here is F Street. So this is right on the corner of F Street and Van Buren. It's currently a vacant piece of property. Just to the north of us is an alleyway located here. We do have a single-family home that's located adjacent to the property right here, and we have some other single-family homes that run across the northern part of our property and further down to the west of northwest of our property located there. This property is approximately 0.33 acres. This is a development that my client has been working with the city hand in hand for a very long time to get to where we are today with the design. That's why your staff is recommending approval, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But with respect to the site plan, as you can see here, what we are proposing, as staff has mentioned, is this is going to be 22 units for the development overall. We have 5 one-bedroom apartments. We're going to have 12, excuse me, yeah, I got it backwards, 5 to 5. Yeah, 12 two-bedroom, and then 5 three-bedroom apartments. That being said, we are also looking to build this modern building here. This is just a look at this. This would be on the corner of Van Buren and F Street located there. This 4-story building, this will give you the east-facing building located here. This is the south-faced building that's located right here. And then we also have the west-facing building, which would be located here. And I think it's important so you can see the architecture and the design and the layout of the building that is being proposed here. The first floor of the building, the 4-story building, will be for the amenities and office space and so on. The second, third, and fourth floor is where the residential units will be actually located. The development overall here is a $10.5 million investment into this area, which is a significant investment coming into this area. But what's important here, if you're familiar with this piece of property and area, there are many plans and overlays in this area. For one, this is in a redevelopment area 1, as staff has already mentioned in their staff report. This is in the historic West Side district in downtown plan, and it's also been studied by UNLV, which is known as the 100th plan. Okay, so, and there are many other professionals that have looked at trying to revitalize this area. And obviously, when you're trying to revitalize an area, you're going to have a lot of emotions with respect to any type of development coming into the neighborhood. But one thing makes certain with respect to what the city has done over the years, because of all these plans, they've been recruiting developers such as Oikos Development to come in and invest into this community so you can get some type of synergy for development of residential and commercial and so on to begin to sprout in areas like this. As a matter of fact, what staff has pointed out with respect to all these plans that I mentioned, with the redevelopment plan, the 100th plan, and the historic West Side District plan, this meets the goals, this plan that you see here. Number one, it improves the housing stock in the area, as staff has pointed out in their report. This is a development, if you take a look in the upper right-hand corner, this area here, you can see there's a lot of vacant lots. As a matter of fact, some of the vacant lots, unfortunately, have people living in tents in those areas. I've been out here, looked at the area, and so on. What you have is, in this area here with a development like this, you're going to have access to transportation modals in the area. And then the other goal here that we're also fulfilling is, in these plans, they looked at in these neighborhood infills to come in with some type of multifamily medium type of housing in areas like this. Just kitty corner to us, you have a multifamily development on the property, just kitty corner, which would be to the southeast of our property. We had a neighborhood meeting. There were neighbors in support. There were neighbors in opposition. I believe there was about 20 people there. You had your staff members there. So it was a lively conversation for about a little over an hour, listening to the pros and cons of the development. You heard some of the earlier comments on public comment. One of the things that we'd like to offer with respect to trying to be a good neighbor partner in the neighborhood, we gave staff some if-approved conditions, just in case if you were to approve the project. We were looking, and I know Chico has been meeting with the neighbor to the north and to the west. We'd be more than willing to put landscaping, and what we've talked about, putting landscaping in their yards to help do some type of buffering to the west of us and to the north of us. We've talked about doing with cypress trees. We was trying to figure out what is the best type of buffer, so to speak, for landscaping, open up for suggestions, and willing to do whatever we can. And then in addition, what we would do on the west side of the property here, which you've approved on, I think, another project not too long ago, which would be some form of awnings, which would also kind of skew the view of looking down onto someone else's property. So we've come up with some ideas here. We're always open to listen to the neighbors, to listen to the commission, because what we believe is this is a $10.5 million investment into the community. We want to do it right. We've worked with your staff. As a matter of fact, as I said, Chico has been working for the last couple of years with your staff to get the project of where it is today. So hopefully we can continue to get the city's support as we move forward and make a very big investment into this community. So we'd ask you to follow staff's recommendations of approval. We would add, as I mentioned, the three conditions, the conditions of landscaping to the north and to the west, and also to the west to add some type of awning fixtures out there. And then what we can do is, after the neighbors speak, we can answer your questions, and Chico can answer questions I'm not able to.
Thank you, Mr. Gronauer. This item has been noticed for public hearing. If there are members of the public wishing to be heard, please come forward. If you have already spoken and you don't have new comments, let's give an opportunity to the folks that haven't been up to the podium yet to speak, and we will go from there. So thank you, and you can come down. There's 3 microphones. Please line up so we can be efficient. You can hand that to the clerk. He's coming over to grab it.
All right. Do you have a pen I could use? Do you have a pen? Evelyn? I've been on my property for 20 years.
Sir, did you want to come down and speak while, oh, you've got a card as well? Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Mark Martinez. I live in the same area that they will be building, 618 West Van Buren Avenue. I have seen this community stay reasonably quiet over time. There have been already several different apartment complexes that have, I would say, maybe not bettered, I wouldn't say bettered the community, I would just say that there are other things as well that would probably be better to accommodate before we add this place into this neighborhood. That could also benefit from a bunch of other different facilities besides just the apartment complex. I would say there's different plazas in the area that need business as well, and then that could definitely bring in people from, and from other states and stuff like that, that maybe you could make a plan for different building on different areas. There's already deals going on around different lots in those areas, people buying it off. Obviously, yeah, it's very cheap, but the cost of human comfort and eventual progress of that part of the city is going to have to be addressed too. And I don't think this apartment complex will probably help us in that regard. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If you all want to come down and, oh. Yeah, anybody who wishes to be heard on this item, come on up and let's line up at the microphones.
Good day, my name is Dr. Judith Gould, and I would just like to say something. I'm driving Uber in this area, and the traffic is really extremely busy, particularly on Fridays and Saturdays, and this is the amount of people is just immense. And I feel there's this big apartment building, number one, the aesthetic of the area, it will look really ugly. It doesn't fit into that area. It's just like Kyle Canyon where you approved and it was said, or let it be aesthetic, let it be beautiful, everyone, it must match the environment, it must match. And I think it's the same thing with downtown Las Vegas to start putting their big apartment building in a big complex with multifamily homes. I do think that's not in place for that location. And I live in Vegas over 17 years. I've seen the city grow, and I do believe in growth. I'm a realtor too, and I just don't think this apartment building will improve that neighborhood. And it will produce a lot of traffic and parking shortages and emergency problems. If there's any emergency, the people can't go as fast to those locations. Already now is a problem downtown when there's an emergency. And these are those points I think should be really much taken into consideration, because it is about the people, and it's not just about the building, about the investment into the town. It's really about safety and helping people to have a great community and enjoy the location they're living, not to drive them out that they don't like it anymore because of parking, security, and safety. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, come on down.
Good evening. I'm Mohammed Abdullah. My address is 2105 Travis Street, North Las Vegas, 89030. I'd like to say that I'm opposed to this particular project for the reasons that she mentioned, but also mainly because of the traffic, I believe that it's going to cause, and also I think that a better use would be sort of like a strip mall or businesses, because we're talking about injecting economic prosperity or potential there in the area. We need more businesses, okay? And so I would really urge that because of the traffic snarl and all the things it's going to do for the infrastructure. So please consider that before you make a decision.
Thank you. And Mr. Dula, can you please spell your name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. It's M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D. And my wife is Gwendolyn K. Walker of the Walker African American Museum and Research Center.
Okay. And your last
she's
name?
also opposed to it as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dula. And your last name?
It's Abdullah,
Thank you.
D-U-L-L-A-H.
Okay, thank you.
As
That's
in
why I
Harry.
had you spell it for the record, because I totally misheard it.
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much.
Anybody, ma'am, are you coming down to speak? Yeah, just please come down to the microphone so we can expedite. Yeah, thanks.
My name is Evelyn Cerna, and I'm just here to express my thoughts about the building they're going to build there, the structure. There's going to be a lot of apartments there. The parking, it's going to be, you know, where are they going to park the people? I wonder, outside in the street. Right now, the cars are being, you know, breaking into, and it's a lot of stuff that's going on. And they gotta think about those things. What we need is condominiums and homes, so it could all come together, have a nice neighborhood. I mean, I've been living in my neighborhood for 20 years, and I mean, I love where I live because it's 5 minutes away from downtown. I get to enjoy that. It's always, you know, pleasant for me to go there and with my husband and have a, you know, nice time with him. So it's, you know, it would be good to have condominiums and homes. That's what we need.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and can you please spell your name for the record?
I'm sorry?
Can you please spell your name for the record?
Cerna, Evelyn, E-V-A-L-Y-N, Cerna, S-E-R-N-A.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cerna.
Thank you.
I just wanted to enter in my opposal, my card.
You just want to turn that into the clerk,
Yes,
ma'am? Okay,
I've
thank you.
already-
Sir, if you,
Again, good evening. I failed to mention, my name is Leonard Martin, Leonard-Martin. I live 623 Harrison Avenue, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89106. I am currently the Vice President of the Historic West Side Community Association in our neighborhood. I have been speaking on terms with Commissioner Munford. First and foremost, that property was purchased by the city with taxpayers' money. Second of all, we're talking about $10 million investment. In today's money, the single-family home owners that live in that area, we're saying $63 million. That's what the homes are worth in that area, $63 million in today's money. We were once the young, energetic people who God blessed to have credit good enough to pass and sign with these banking institutions for 30 and 40-year mortgages. Now, I'm a senior citizen, disabled. He speaks about the plans. Yeah, we got the 100 plan, the 125 plan, the 150. All of those plans are revised, and all of this. You ain't put paint on the wall in 50 years. Now, we have a unique opportunity. This vision of this building was Cedric Greer. February the 16th, the mayor came out to Jackson and F Street, and I have the video. She said what she wasn't having, discrimination, intimidation, and all the other stuff that go along with these developments in the community. But in our community, we are a family of neighbors. We have been living together for a decade. Most of them are on fixed incomes. With the density of this building, you're talking 22 units. If it's one person, more than likely it's 2 people in that apartment. That's 44 people. Where they gonna park? What about the trash? What about the noise at night when most of the senior citizens are up at 6 and they're in bed before 7? What about the noise? Because they can't park on the property, they got to park on the city public street, so they got their radio on and they doing what they want to do, and here we got to call the police who never show up. The city, in my opinion, is the worst landlord it is. You're going to talk about putting the building under management, but here we talking about dollars and cents. So when it becomes incomparable to spend that money on the management after a couple of years, who gonna run the establishment after you put it there and we got all the headaches? Okay, He talking about the building adjacent, the apartment building, I think it's about 12 units. That was 1950-something when they built that building. If you look on 8th Street, they had a senior citizen building. That skyline is best suited for that. Like I said, we in talks, and I sent the councilwoman the name of the, I spoke with the engineers. I even sent a letter to Commissioner Munford letting him know I spoke with the engineer. They have a beautiful plan for that acreage of land that would be best suited for the both of us. We're not against development in that area. You look at the 100 plan, you see the streets are cut off with the cafes, people are walking with their dogs, it's a nice environment, it's got commerce moving and everything. You look at the 125 plan, there's some more details in it. The 150 plan, there's some more details that we are loving. But to put a project, I come from the city of Chicago. I used to live on the 9th floor in the Icky Projects, 2250 South Street, 9th floor. They tore all the projects down in Chicago. Robert Taylor's, Cabrini Green, Stateway Garden, all of those are demolished. This is a project. That's all it is. You can never give off generational wealth owning an apartment. You cannot pass that on to your children, your grandchildren, none of that owning an apartment. And the rent is gonna steady go up, higher and higher, and you're gonna be paying for what you pay for a home in that apartment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Gronauer, oh, sorry, anybody, yes, we've got another. If anybody else is going to speak on this item, can you please come on down so we just get a sense of how many more people we have speaking? Are you speaking, ma'am? Come on up to the microphone, state your name, spell it for the record. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Thompson. I am, my address is 1916 Pink Ice Court. I am not that far from the development that they are speaking on tonight. I live about three blocks down. My sister, who the apartment complex will be right over her neighbor, right over her window. I go down there to visit her every now and then. And we go open the door, we open the back door, we open the front door, sit out for the summertime, and we'll walk the dog. Sometimes in the summertime, we would go get on our bikes. And all this is just another, it'll be like a big old dome over her bedroom. Because where her bedroom is, she can just open the window, just look out, and there it is. I don't think that is the kind of a development that should be in a neighborhood. This is a home for children, for families, where we plan to retire and live. And we can't retire and live in a big old complex where it's just a bunch of people that we don't even know. Our neighbors, we know. These people in apartments, we don't know. We're afraid. We don't know what's coming out at night, in the evenings, when we're just sitting out on the porch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Anybody else for public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and call the applicant back up to the podium for any responses or to add anything else.
Madam Chair, Bob Gronauer for the record. I think we're ready to answer any questions that you may have, if that's okay.
That is perfectly fine, Mr. Gronauer. Thank you so much. I will turn it back over to the commission, starting with Commissioner Munford.
Hi, Ms. Gronauer. So when we talked, for the property, I guess that's Cynthia Thompson's house. That's directly to the west.
I think it's Miss Wallace's to the west and Miss Thompson's to the north.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm hearing a lot is, my main concern is probably that house.
Yeah.
And the buffering for that house. And for that property, you were proposing to put trees on their property?
That is our proposal. If need be, we can also look at putting it along our property line. It's tight, but those are things that we can definitely do. We would like to do some form of landscaping, definitely. If it's on her property or on our property, we'd like to do that landscaping there. We think that's appropriate.
Mm-hmm. And then from what I understood, you offered her, if the trees are on her property, you offered her to pay the water bill for a year.
My name is Chico Clark, representing Oikos Development for the record. We offered to install these plants as well as maintain them for a year to make sure that they are growing properly and staying healthy.
Okay. I'll be honest with that. I would, if I owned a house, I'd have an issue with that myself. Even if you're going to pay for it for a year, trees grow. That's going to be an added cost. You know, burden on, it's kind of a burden on the, actually, to me, it feels like it's a burden on the homeowner. I agree, we need more affordable housing. I spoke with Mr. Grunauer, probably when one of the stigmas that we have when we're talking about affordable housing, somebody kind of touched on that today. You know, and I've, you know, I mentioned, you know, my background's real estate. I'm in commercial, and so, you know, if I'm working with a investor, I'm usually looking for off-market, mismanaged properties, kind of short order slumlords that are maybe in the valley, and they're mismanaging these properties. It's an opportunity for me and my investors to come in and buy those properties and improve them. So, you know, and so I understand the public when they have kind of a stigma when they hear the quote-unquote affordable housing project. My big concern moving forward with, you know, when we're talking about affordable housing projects is that I'd like developers to really have a plan in terms of long-term management of that property. I've never managed multifamily. I've managed mobile home parks. I'm a property manager as well. I manage mobile home parks and I manage commercial. The good commercial players, you know, they, you know, every other year or every year we fix the pavement, you know, if we need to paint, you know, we have our landscapers, groundskeepers every day, or, you know, whenever is needed to make sure that property looks good when people drive by, or when people come and shop at those shopping centers or whatever. And so, you know, that I think, especially if anybody is you know, looking at doing affordable housing, I think that's important for us to consider is what's that management plan over, not just over 5 years, but for the duration of the ownership is how I look at it. But, you know, somebody mentioned also that they like to see retail in there. And I've seen here in Vegas a few, even in the downtown area, where they brought retail in the area, but in my opinion, they didn't bring enough residential in that area, whether it be multifamily or some type of, because you need people in that area to shop at those shops and to support that area. So there has to be a balance. I believe that that plan you have to have a plan where residential comes in. And I've been in that area. You know, that's my father's old district. First time went through that area, I was probably 3 years old or 4 years old with my dad. And at that time, there was residential and there was commercial in a way, it was kind of forced because as African Americans, we had to live in that area. And so we had to have those businesses and our homes in that area when it was first established. So, you know, we need to, I think there needs to be, you know, yes, we need commercial in there, but we do need residential. We do need affordable housing. Somebody, you know, what happened in 2008, we're feeling it still today. Because all those, I know when I've been in real estate as long as I have been, after 2008, you couldn't get any money to build anything. So to 2012, builders really couldn't build anything. And that's why you kind of see the shortages that we're having today. And so, you know, I want to, I'm concerned about, and I hear the people in the community. I would, Chairwoman, you mentioned maybe tabling this, or, and I would like to, you know, because I said my big concern right now, I'd like to get a solution for the neighbor next door first. A solid solution for her in terms of, you know, where we have something a little bit more, a meeting of the minds, where there's going to be some kind of setback or something. I'm looking at the plans. That's parking. You know, is there any way where we can? Because that's my first concern. You know, all the other stuff with the community and everything. But you know, and you know, when I bought my house, my first house I bought it because I had nobody living behind me. I had nothing but desert. And so I like that. And so I understand, you know, the resident here, she's concerned about, you know, about that issue. So I'd like to, before any kind of approval, to try to figure out what can we do with her first. And it you know, going, and I understand when you're developing, it has to pencil out, so you need it. Also, I have a question. On that first floor, there's no units on the first floor, right?
Correct.
So that's more, is that more, what is the use of that?
So you have the manager's office that's located there, you have the maintenance office that's located there. There's a play area for kids, indoor play area. There's a great room, living room. There's a computer room, office type of thing. And there's a few other things in there that would be on the first floor there. And then second, third, and fourth floor are the residential units.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I'd like to get this, you know, because I'm here, I've heard different ideas, especially with the neighbors, you know, with the trees. I don't think that's going to work for her. I know it wouldn't work for me. If there's something that could be done, and then again, like I said, when it comes to the, and then I understand the concerns about the density issues that might be going on with this, but and my personal feeling too is we need some type of affordable housing. And also too, you know, that area being Ward 5, I don't feel, you know, that since that's Ward 5, you know, we automatically just put affordable housing in that area just because it's Ward 5. Because, you know, throughout the city, we need affordable housing projects. But let's take that issue first. Can I ask the builder, what is your motivation in terms of that being an affordable housing project?
Chico Clark for the record. I've been coming to Las Vegas for 20 years visiting family out here. I've not seen a whole lot of development in that area. Our company, we do exclusively affordable housing. So that is our primary objective, is to deliver that quality product to neighborhoods that need it.
Where else have you done affordable housing?
We currently, our closest to Las Vegas is in Carson City right now. We're finishing up Sierra Flats Phase 2. It's 160 units, 40 senior, and 16 market rate, and the remainder is affordable housing.
And you said that's in Carson City?
Correct. 3320 Butti Way, B-U-T-T-I. We are also doing developments in Nebraska, in Manhattan, Kansas, Gardner, Kansas, Independence, Missouri, and Pahokee, Florida.
Okay. All right. I'd like to recommend for, like I said, that we
Commissioner Munford, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Before you make your motion, if you want to give folks a chance.
I'm sorry.
To make, no problem.
But, yeah, if there's any other comments from
Thank you, Commissioner.
or questions.
Commissioner Schlottman?
Yes, Chairwoman, through you. Just want to make a few quick comments. I mean, we have developed our downtown a little bit different than we've developed other cities, Dallas, Atlanta, Houston, LA, and some of these other places where we brought in a whole bunch of retail and commercial prior to bringing in the residential. It's kind of unique to me because I've developed in other cities to where we've gone backwards. Not backwards, just the opposite, residential and then bring in the retail. It's worked. It's worked down here in Fremont. It's worked in the Arts District, but we're starting to see the volume of retail, commercial, bars, restaurants, things like that that are now needing the households to kind of support some of these businesses. And if a lot of retail and commercial businesses get built in this historic west side without the residential, and if we look at an aerial map, it looks like about 50% of the lots in this little neighborhood are vacant. I'm just not sure if anybody is going to go in and put the investment into retail until we actually have enough people to support that retail. I do realize that change is hard. Change is something that we don't want to see very often, and we're scared to change because we don't know what that brings us. However, I've seen a ton of projects come to this area, and over the past 12, 13 years that I've been up here, and I've seen a lot of improvements in a lot of areas. I'd like to see stuff happen in this area. I'm not saying I want to see it overdeveloped, but I remember Tom Perigo, our old assistant general manager for the city, put out an RFP to build some project. Not a project, some housing project or commercial development or something. The city was going to give the land away in this neighborhood, and nobody applied. And he called me and he said, "Trendy, why is nobody applying?" And there's a laundry list of reasons why they weren't applying. A lot of them didn't think they'd get entitlements. The cost of infrastructure is more expensive, and just because all the infrastructure has been aging. There's also that whole stretch of property up against the highway, and there's another plan where we're looking at trying to bring in a whole bunch of restaurants and other I don't want to say entertainment, because it wasn't really an entertainment district. It was more restaurants, incubator spaces to where people could come and lease these spaces out, move into a bigger space, and kind of give some allow some of these places to bring in jazz and music and culture but the developers wouldn't get behind it because they didn't feel that there's enough people there to support that. And this is just what I've been told throughout the years. So, I mean, for a new apartment project to come through and be built here, being that, I mean, we have two different ways we can go about doing this. We could do it at market rates, which the rents are going to be a lot higher, or we could do it at affordable. And affordable doesn't necessarily mean the projects. Affordable just means that it's hitting that median income that, and you can't exceed whatever that median income is, and I won't quote what that is because I don't know. But it's a great looking project. I'd love to see something happen. I do understand the concerns of the neighbors and the immediate neighbor, and trying to figure out a way to overcome those objections. But I'm looking at the Sierra Flats that you're finishing up in Carson City, and this is a beautiful project. And you know, if we can actually get more people living down here, we can actually start bringing in some of those other like really great elements that we want to see flourish in this area. So those are my comments, but I'll turn it over to you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Commissioner Schlottman. Commissioner DeSalvio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Commissioner Schlottman, you hit it right on the head. I mean, to see development residential go in this area is something I know as a planning commissioner when I've been on for 5 years, and it's just getting back on again. That was one of the objectives, is to see residential start growing in that area, and to see this come forward. I think it works. I think it is harmonious compatible. I could see, based on your elevations, if you put them back up again, you have it off onto the hard corner. We have a tremendous buffer for what you're dealing with, right? You have a tremendous buffer for the parking to the adjacent neighbor. You have the developer that's willing to help the residents behind with even additional more landscape buffing. I think this fits. The questions that I do have is, what is the price point right now for a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom? I know we're here for land use, but I just kind of want to wrap my head around that for a second.
So, you want me to go through what we talked about earlier?
I got it.
Okay.
So we are serving individuals and families making 30 to 50% of the area median income. At the 30% level, we have one bedroom, two 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom, with rents being at $442, $525, and $600, respectively. For the 40%, we have 3 1-bedroom, 9 2-bedroom, and 3 3-bedroom, with $605, $720, and $826, respectively. And for 50%, we have 1 1-bedroom, 1 2-bedroom, and 1 3-bedroom, with rents being $767, $915, and $1,051.
Thank you. And for your neighborhood meeting that you held, and we've all sat through hundreds of them, so you started at a perspective right here, and then you got with the neighbors. I think you stated that there was at least like 20 people that showed up.
Yeah, 20, 25 in that area.
So between what you proposed at that time and then what was raised at the neighborhood meeting, had there been any concession changes that you tried to make it as harmonious and compatible to the feelings of the neighbors that were going to be directly affected? Was there anything changed on your site plan to help mitigate?
On the site plan itself, because of sensitivity to the west neighbor, what we were agreed to do is we'd do awnings that would obscure the view into the adjacent property there. So that's one of the things. And then subsequent to Chico's meetings with some of the neighbors to the north and to the west, we wanted to do additional landscaping and try to figure that out. So those were the things that we were coming here today with, to say, hey, if you're willing to approve this project, these are things that we're willing to do, okay?
Gotcha. You know, the hardest part, and this is to the public, the hardest part as a planning commissioner, and even for the city council person, is infill projects. they're one of the hardest things. I'm fortunate enough to live out in Ward 6, so there's a lot of land and there's not too much infill going on right now, but just about every ward up here has infill projects. It's either something that's getting knocked down and put back, or raw land like this and comes in. So to have a developer, and that's why I asked about if there was any concessions made, to have a developer sit down, come to you with a project that I honestly think is a beautiful project after looking at it, to then make concessions to try to be harmonious and compatible, and have the buffers and have it, and obviously staff made a recommendation for approval because it's got the proper setbacks, it's not intrusive into, for height. I think this is a good project, and I'm looking at its price point, and to me, based on pretty much everywhere there is, to me that seems like an affordable price at that kind of price a month. So you're not far from being affordable housing, I can tell you that right now. But I can definitely get behind the project due to the fact that I think it's needed. I think it fits. I think there is buffers there. The concessions are working with the neighbors to do what you need to do to try to massage that a little further. I would totally support this project if it went on today. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I just have a couple of questions. So I'm looking at I'm looking at the landscaping plan, because this area is the hottest spot in the urban heat island mapping that was done by RTC. And so first question, and I know, Mr. Grunauer, when you and I talked, I think there was a mention of going back to maybe do some revisions around the landscaping, but I noticed that while the number of trees is sufficient, you've got them in at 24 inches, and I'm wondering if you would be willing to do 36-inch box, because it may more quickly create sort of some aesthetics. That's my first question. And then my second question is in the parking. As I'm looking at the landscape legend, it looks to me like, and I just don't remember if we talked about this, are those trees in the parking, or are those shrubs? Because if they're shrubs and there's any way to do trees, I think that would be better, again, for mitigating that heat off the asphalt. Like, that's kind of the key place where you want to make sure that you have urban canopy forestry. And so I just was curious, because it looks to me like what's there are the 5-gallon juniperus.
No, they're the sweet acacia.
Those are sweet acacia?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just the rendering?
Yes.
All right, so those are trees, so thank you for that clarification. And then would you be willing to do 36-inch box instead of 24-inch?
We can look at that. The problem is because the project is tight right now with respect to making some of the changes, we can look to see what we can do. And I think if anything, if we were to do, is I think I know where this might be going, is we can look at making some of the bigger boxes to be used as buffering. But that's something that we would have to look at to see if that's the step that we can do, but we could address that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good, again, for buffering and for having that sort of aesthetic look, a better curb appeal, more quickly to have those larger trees. And I know that, I mentioned to Commissioner Munford that there had been people at the front public hearing asking for a 30-day abeyance. So if that is indeed something that Commissioner Munford requests and that passes, I would certainly hope that that is something that can be looked at and worked out before you come back to us for another hearing. So, that's, again, I think it's a great-looking project. I think it has some opportunities. And I've learned even for Ward 6 that you don't get the retail you want until you get the rooftops. So, anyway, with that, I will pass it back over to Commissioner Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The one question I have for the gentleman, I'm from Chicago as well, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And nothing's built there yet, and they've been tore down at least 10 years. And what I found working the low-income communities and how hard it is that I see is working. If you take a new development and you put it in where there was an area or still is an area that is underdeveloped or has been bad, high crime. I didn't hear the crime rates yet either out there, because that plays a significant role. So what they were trying to do was the middle good project, which is yours, and try to get the others to either go along with it or somehow try to attempt to work on making it a better community with them, help them redo the the doors, get everything fixed up in the buildings next to them. So it's a good project, and I'm supportive of it, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys are going to come up with. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Commissioner, they building townhouses on 31st and State Street at De La Salle High School. You're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You're wrong.
Thank you. Commissioner Walsh, did you have any other comments? Okay, great. So, I'm just waiting for Commissioner Munford. Are you, I'll pass it back to you.
I appreciate all the commissioners' comments and input. And going back, you know, like I said before, you know, if we're going to have any kind of, you know, like again, going back to, you know, if I'm working for an investor and we're looking for, especially like a commercial site, we're looking at rooftops. We're doing that analysis of everything in that area. And I know talking to different people, that is one of the goals for that area is to bring back that retail aspect to that community. That where, you know, whether it's a entertainment district, whether it's, I've heard plans of even making that area, since so many of the residents have roots to Louisiana, making that making that an area where we're bringing in jazz clubs and stuff like that. But you're gonna, when you do something like that, again, you have to have residents in the area. You have to have people that are working and you know, as I look at this project and I'm looking at the renderings and all the drawings, I agree. It looks like a good project in terms of what you're going to develop and put there. Again, just my main concern is the neighbor.
Yep.
And if I'm going to move for approval, because this will go before the city council at the end of the day. I'm going to move for approval, but I want, in that meantime, if you could, you know, get with that neighbor.
Yep.
I would, the chairwoman made a good suggestion in terms of, you know, trying to get that larger tree as a buffer in that area. The thing about it too is if we do get more retail and more business development in there, the traffic is going to be what it is. And you know, Vegas, you know, at the end of the day has traffic issues all over the city. We could say that's good, we could say that's bad, but what it does show is that we're a vibrant city. There's people moving around, we're spending money. It's you know, the city's on the move. I'd like to see that area on the move. And if it's on the move, you know, that means, you know, we have stuff going on in that community. And I know being in that, you know, I've been in that area, like I said, since I was a little kid. And I've seen it when it was vibrant. And now that, you know, now you drive through there, like the commissioner was saying, 50% of that area is just empty. And so I'm gonna move for approval.
No, sir, we've closed public hearing.
I'm gonna move for approval, but like I said, I would like you to, you know, get with the people that are in that area and the neighbors, and you know, try to work something out in terms of that, because that, to me, that's the biggest issue in terms of that you know, like I said, I understand the neighbors' concerns right there. Mm-hmm. And when you have that many people moving next to you, I know another developer they're doing a larger project, and it's surrounded by residential.
Yeah.
And so that, that's going to probably be a big issue with the people surrounding that. But again, it's multifamily, it's going to be a more of a workforce housing project. But again, my feelings is we need that type of product. So for item 23, renotification 24-0647-SDR1. I move for approval. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Munford. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll just do it verbal for the rest of the meeting, because it keeps going on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Please post.
Thank you, Commissioners. And Commissioner, we'll keep you posted, updated on the discussions with the adjacent neighbors.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, that item will move on to City Council on April 16th.
Okay, and so folks can come down to City Council and provide input at the City Council meeting. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Okay, next up, item 24, abeyance 24-0649-VAR1, applicant owner Alex Avo Hartunian, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow proposed residential accessory structure garage that does not conform to Title 19.06 development standards for setbacks at 1600 South Valadez Street, Ward 2, Siemens. Staff recommends denial.
Madam Chair, as no evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance relating to the physical characteristics of the property have been presented to warrant the requested variance, staff finds the hardship to be self-imposed and preferential in nature. Therefore, staff recommends denial. Thank you.
Thank you for the staff report. Good evening, sir. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Hi, good evening. My name is Alex Hartunian, Harutynyn. I'm the owner of the property. The reason we want to build the garage a little bit closer to the walls.
Sir, could you step a little closer to the microphone?
Oh,
I'm having
I'm
a hard
sorry.
time hearing you. Thank you.
Okay. I want to build a garage, a big garage. It's the front yard of my property. From west to it and north to it, there is no neighbors. On the west side is a street. North side is a canal. So the setback from the west side, it says 15 feet. So if I put the garage in 50 feet from the wall, then it's going to be more like a dead space. It's not a casita to have a backyard, little backyard. It's just a big garage that if I go with 15 feet and 5 feet, then I'm losing that space pretty much. And I asked my neighbors, it's a small, it's only 3 neighbors of ours. It's a small cul-de-sac. I asked my neighbors, they're okay with it. One of them signed. Second one was out of country. He couldn't sign it, but they're okay with it. And I don't have any other neighbors bothering anybody to have the garage too close to the wall, pretty much.
Okay. Thank you. This item has been noticed for public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? Okay, seeing none, I will close public hearing and pass it back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Walsh.
Sorry for that disturbance. I went by your location down on one street. It's gated, and I tried numerous times to get in, but nobody replies to the press code bot. But I could see the portion of where it was at, and it was a lot different when the first person came to identify the issue. I would ask staff, is there a good condition to where we can allow this? Because on this one.
Madam Chair, through you, I guess, what kind of a condition are we talking about?
What we talked late was the actual, there's only one violation identified, correct?
Yeah, in order to eliminate the need for variance, he would need to meet the setbacks.
Okay, so they have to be no matter what.
Which, at that point, he could just withdraw without prejudice this application and then meet the setbacks for the structure.
Okay. You understand that?
Pretty much the problem is the setback, right?
Right.
Any specific reason why it could be kind of allowed or to be a little bit closer to the wall? The reason why I'm asking is we checked the setback from north, south, east, and west, and only the west side is not allowed. It has to be 15 feet. I don't know what's the codes or regulations.
How far away from the wall is it?
The setback?
Yeah.
The setback that the rules, it's 15 feet. I'm asking less than that to put the structure closer to it.
Could you downsize the structure to meet the requirement?
If I make the smaller, I'm planning to put an RV in it, so it won't fit. And then if I go and put it close to the driveway, then the RV won't be able to come and go to the garage.
You couldn't pull it in from the east because it won't make that turn?
Correct.
Can it get under that around where the circle is? You'll see the big circle in the plan, and then there's the...
It's a tree, so I have fruit trees and stuff there, so I really don't want to touch. Those are good trees, so.
I was originally under the understanding that it was going to be to store antique cars and things like that. That's the first I heard of a bigger vehicle to go in there. And at that point, you could have met it by shrinking the building down. That's how I interpret it. I didn't hear about putting an RV in it.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to have a huge roll-up door. I might have it somewhere here. So.
Just for clarity, I get a question from you. Are you planning on putting antique cars inside that garage, or is it just an RV?
No, it's going to be cars. It's going to be cars. I collect classic cars, so.
From that, how about if you meet the requirements and just put the cars in there and find another location for it?
We tried with the architect to kind of find a way, but I know I have a big lot, but the house, the initial owner, whoever built it, they put the house the way that if I put this garage, I can't put in the backyard, and the only spot we found, it's here in this corner, which we have to have that 15 feet.
Yeah, but if you pulled it east and made it smaller, the cars could get in, correct?
Make it east.
Yeah, you push it out towards the east.
If I do it to the east, then the driveway gets very close, very small driveway.
I'm sorry, to the north. Here's what it looks like. Yeah, to the north. If you push it towards the north.
It's too close to the north. This is the west.
Okay.
This is the north.
Oh, then it would be the south, pushing it more towards the south. I thought it was going to go by the...
Yeah, the problem is pretty much the west. This is the Valadez Street, and this is a dry canal. So my closest neighbor is probably past the street on this way, and my other neighbor is probably 300 feet to the north, and those are backyards, but it's about 20 feet distance between those neighbors and us.
Well, if you could do that with a vehicle, like what we planned or suggested, you pull it out and make it on the other side, make the building a little bit smaller, okay, then I have no problem with it. I could prove it tonight if you meet that condition. If you can't, I don't think I can approve it because of the way the variance stands. In other words, you're cramming too much stuff into that one corner is one of the problems and issues, and putting an RV in there versus the antique cars is another. RV shouldn't be in there, but
I
that's fine.
totally understand. Even if we move the building to the, in the middle of this lot or this way, the existing driveway will not allow us to, do that much. So,
It looked like there was plenty of room, and I saw it, looked like plenty of room to bring a car in through there.
to go all the way to the
Yeah, you
north?
bring it right under that overpass there, and then bring it, you could go into the garage if you move it or not. I don't see that as a hindrance. But you're going to have, I mean, you're trying to conform to an RV versus antique cars, and I don't think it's going to work.
Honestly, I just trying to use the land as smart as I can, if it's okay to say.
Believe me, I'm from your ward, and I would really try to help you make this decision and do it correctly. So in a matter of time at this point, I can give you that concession, and then it can go with a condition, or I would deny it tonight. So, I mean, that's an option you have. And I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but my vote would be to do that if you don't make the concessions. I'm sorry about that, but I mean, I know it's a tough decision.
I understand.
Commissioner Walsh, I think Commissioner Schlottman had a couple of comments too,
Oh,
if that's
sure,
okay?
sure, yeah.
You can pass it along?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Yes, Commissioner, I just wanted to throw a few comments in, maybe to understand it a little bit better. We met last month. We gave, through you, Chair, we met last month, well, not with you, but you sent a representative down here, and you had the right to come down here and explain it yourself. You also had the right to go back and come up with some sort of concession before now. I'm looking at the same plan that I seen 30 days ago. You didn't do anything. You're coming back just asking for the same thing that you asked for 30 days ago. So we're making zero progress. Not your turn to speak. You're wanting to do this. It's a self-imposed hardship. You're wanting to do it because you want to put an RV in there. An RV doesn't fit in there. You have 50 feet from your house to this garage here. 50 feet, that's what your plan says.
Okay.
You can do that in 30 feet. You don't want to do that, but you can do that. And you can make it happen and still have room left over. So this is 100% a self-imposed hardship, and you brought nothing back to us. We're pretty much wasting our time up here. That's my comments, and that's my feelings on this. If there was some sort of concession, like, let's go 8 feet, let's go 10 feet, but there was none of that come about. He could have landscaped that whole side of his property. He could have made it look closer to the rest of the neighborhood. And I'm just not seeing it. And I'm seeing that he's not wanting to make any changes. But I just wanted to put those comments out there. You do as you wish. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I
Thank
agree
you.
with his
May I?
opinion.
Okay, any other commissioners wishing to make comments? Okay.
If you're putting cars in there, can you put a system that stacks the cars?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
If you're putting cars in there in the first place, could you put a system in there that stacks the cars? I used to own an auto shop, and we'd do that.
Yeah.
We'd stack our cars so we can get more cars into that space. Is that an option?
I haven't went that far to see how many cars I can fit there or not. But as I don't come here every day. I don't know all the rules, regulations, what to say first or second, but in my mind was to come myself. I was out of country. And the second thing that I tried to bring today, the neighbors, that they were okay to that. First time we didn't have that paperwork. And my question was, is that possible to make a little bit, like as you were saying, is there any options to make, I don't know, 5, 8, 10 feet, something closer to that wall so that space will not be dead and I can use it properly? Something, I understand that's the rules, but if you're okay, just to make a little bit closer to the wall, so.
Chairwoman, through you.
Yes.
I wasn't asking for this to be a dead area. I was asking for it to be a live area with trees, landscaping. You're not listening to what I'm saying. You're not matching the rest of the neighborhood, and no. I mean, for me, it's not going to work.
And again, echoing Commissioner Schlottman, there was an opportunity to amend what you had provided to us last month, and absent a motion to continue this again, which may end us up in the exact same discussion point, it is a problematic project for me as well. So with that, with no other comments, I will pass it back to Commissioner Walsh. Do you have a motion, sir?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you one chance to give you another 30-day pass and come back with professional drawings meeting the design that we proposed. And I suggest that you meet with staff to go over items, so you don't come here, because if we rule on it again, you're not going to be able to build there for a while. So so it's up to you. Would you want a 30-day abatement? Excuse me.
60 days, so it's not at our next meeting.
Yeah, okay. Let's make it a 60-day one. 2 months to come back with the right plans. And staff has always helped people through all these different things with different concessions. That's what I would suggest. If not, and you're not going to do that, I would suggest then, we're going to deny it, and you can appeal it from that point, but they're going to rely on the documents that have already been proposed. So do you want the 60 days?
30 days should be fine too, I think.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay, don't come back with the same drawings again, right? Okay? And get some professional help on this with staff and other people. They're here to help you. We're not here to hurt you. We want it to be a happy, project for you and the community. So with that, I'll make a motion.
Is the motion for 60?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
For 60 days.
There's a motion on the floor.
And that date would be May 13th?
I'm not seeing the motion come up.
Oh. You heard the motion.
Commissioner Rogan
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Please cast your
Aye.
votes.
and Commissioner Walsh.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please post. And that motion to hold for 60 days passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you in May. Okay. Next item, number 25, abeyance 24-0657 VAR1, applicant owner Rosie Landa, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a proposed single-family detached dwelling with a porte-cochere and a proposed residential accessory structure bathroom that does not conform to Title 19.06 development standards for setbacks and separation at 1110 Strong Drive, Ward 1, Knutson. Staff recommends denial. May I have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, staff finds the requested variance to be preferential in nature and a self-imposed hardship, as there are no hardships present related to the lot shape or topography. Therefore, staff is recommending denial of the requested variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Again, ma'am, would you please state and spell your name for the record and then tell us about your project?
Absolutely. My name's Rebecca Simon, S-I-M-O-N, and I'm from Plata Design, 5940 South Rainbow Boulevard, number 3005, on behalf of the owner. So we had this meeting held. We did get approval from all the other neighbors. I do want to note that we did add the trees on the bottom, or on the south end, which was the only concern, which was the south neighbor wanted that privacy barrier for the balcony. We are asking for a setback reduction for the porte-cochere, for the front setback, the side setback, and the back setback. The front setback, the side setback, and the rear setback, the only part in the rear setback is the balcony. The side setback is just the eaves, as well as the front setback. There we go. Because it does have rather large eaves as a design. And then we are also asking for that bathroom, here we go, with no interior access. And that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. This item has been noticed for public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and pass this back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Rogan.
Thank you, Chair. I took the opportunity to meet with the applicant's representative to compare it to the old plan that we were approved about 4 or 5 years ago. And it's a similar design, so I'm comfortable motioning for approval. My question, I guess, is I think we may need a condition regarding those trees within the south setback, but I'll leave that to staff to determine.
Thank you, Commissioner. While staff is looking at that in regard to a condition, is there anyone else that has comments on this item, thoughts? Okay.
Chairwoman.
Yes, sir.
While staff is looking that up, I'll just make a couple of comments. I remember this application, and we actually looked at potentially reducing some of those setbacks and some of those big RE. Is this RE, or what was the zone in here?
Sorry, the zoning?
Yes.
Oh, the zoning is, there you go. It's going to be RE.
Yeah, and we actually looked at reducing some of those setbacks in the RE just because we've had so many of these requests, and, setting back that portico share or whatever, 50 feet, and it's just a few feet, so I could get behind this, and I actually remember this application when it come before us.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Staff, do you have that condition ready?
Yes, Madam Chair, we can add a condition that reads, applicant shall install fast-growing, drought-tolerant trees along the side yard setback to the south in conformance with the site plan dated February 24th, 2025.
Thank you. Ms. Simon, do you agree to that condition and to all the staff's other conditions?
Yes, we do.
Okay. With that, Commissioner Rogan, are you prepared to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve Agenda Item 25, Project 24-0657, VAR1, subject to all conditions and additional conditions read into the record this evening.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Thank you. Please post. That motion carries.
And that item is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up, agenda item number 27, abeyance 24-0672, SUP1, applicant Cedras Investments LLC, owner 7th Street Properties LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 12,700 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a 7,650 square foot outdoor patio at 115 North 7th Street, Ward 3 Diaz. Staff recommends approval. May I have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, the proposed alcohol use can be conducted in a manner that is harmonious, compatible with the surrounding land uses, and is located within the downtown entertainment overlay district, which encourages similar uses. Staff therefore recommends approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schlottman.
Yes, Madam Chair, on this matter last month, that was brought before us. I noticed the one person that did come forward was Mark Carlson, who I have worked for many of years in the organization that he's with. And out of abundance of caution, I'm going to abstain from this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, Nathan Taylor, 8414 West Farm Road, representing the applicant. I'd like to first thank all of the commissioners that took the time to speak with me this week about this item. There was a lot of discussion regarding this. I'll try to be as brief as I can, but I'd like to give a little bit of a historical background on how we got here today. First of all, this was agended last month, as Commissioner Schlottman just said. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here due to an illness, so that's why Commissioner DeSalvio held it for 30 days so that we could have this discussion. At the February 11th meeting, Mark Carlson got up from DTP and turned in some postcards in opposition to this application. It's worth noting that all of those postcards were mailed to the same post office box, 7516 Las Vegas, Nevada 89125. I've prepared an exhibit which I believe all of you have in front of you, and if I could just ask Nick to put this into the record. This is a list of all of the LLCs that are controlled by essentially the same trust. So I don't want there to be any confusion about the postcards and who is opposing this project. I'd like to just read a couple things from the staff report because I think it's worth noting, although staff already did a pretty good job with their initial report. The proposed alcohol on-premise use can be conducted in a manner that is harmonious and compatible with the existing surrounding uses. And I'm reading from the staff report. The subject site can physically accommodate the proposed alcohol on-premise full use in proximity to retail restaurant use in strip mall development. Site access is provided from 7th Street, an 80-foot local street subject Title 14. This street is in sufficient size to accommodate the needs of the proposed use. The proposed alcohol on-premise full use will be subject to regular inspections during rehabilitation of the building itself by the Department of Building and Safety, and regular inspections by the Department of Community Development, Business Licensing Division, once a business license has been issued, thus protecting the public health, safety, and welfare. And finally, the requirement set forth in requirement 1 is not applicable because the subject site is within the downtown entertainment overlay. I say that because at the February 11th Planning Commission meeting, our Deputy Director Lowenstein stated these are the types of businesses that we want to locate in the entertainment district overlay. In addition, this is not a newly requested use. I want to make that clear. There was already a use like this, special events. There was already a nightclub here. A license was issued from December 14th, 2014, and it expired June 12th, 2024. Having said that, we got our application in. If we had got our application in prior to the entitlement expiring, we wouldn't even be having this discussion today. My clients are going to employ about 30 people. I think that's worth mentioning. We invited the DTP folks, and I think it's worth mentioning. I've been doing this a long time, 25 years. I've never had to deal with DTP before. I didn't even know who they were. I've never spoken to any of these individuals, so this was all new to me in having discussions with them, so I learned quite a bit about DTP. We had a meeting on March 3rd for the purposes of addressing any concerns that they may have. To give a brief recap, we were presented by one of their attorneys, and it was mentioned that we didn't notify our neighbors about the project. Since this was not a general plan amendment, nor a zoning change, a neighborhood meeting was not required, nor was one held. The city did send out postcards, as I already noted. The DTP representatives invited 2 executives from El Cortez to this meeting. And I'm going to leave this part out. These 2 executives from El Cortez, who I've never met before, were quite intimidating, and that's about all I'm going to say. It seemed to me as though we needed their blessing because they've dumped $20 million into a renovation of their hotel, which I'm very happy for. My mom's first job in the casino business was working at the El Cortez. So that property has a special place in my heart. But I don't think we need the blessing of anyone for a business that belongs in the entertainment district overlay. My clients have spent many months doing due diligence, trying to find a location that would work for this business. It wasn't like they put a blindfold on and put a map up and put a pin and said, oh, this will be perfect for us. They called the city, they talked to the planning department, they did everything they could possibly do to identify this location, to locate this business. These are not new operators. They operate in Texas. They do a very good job. They're going to bring business to downtown. It's going to be another great addition to our entertainment district overlay. I think it's worth noting they've spent upwards of $400,000 already on tenant improvements, some of which include soundproofing, of state-of-the-art stereo system, new furniture, improvements to the existing bar. And finally, the DTP folks and El Cortez representatives, just like anyone in this community, they have a right to oppose any project that comes before the Planning Commission or the City Council. It's their right. It's also my right to explain to you why you should approve this project. Their main issue is noise. There's a patio area. And in that patio area, it's an ancillary use to the business. But this patio area, which will have renovations as well, is going to be used for, it's about 25 feet from their existing downtown motel, which is across the alley. What's ironic about this, and I'm going to show you some pictures, is that DTP used to lease this space. DTP used this space, they utilized it, they utilized the stage, they utilized the outdoor patio area. They played music, they had large speakers outside, and they used the space for large gatherings. And I guess I'll just show you the pictures right now of what kind of things went on when DTP rented this space. So here's one. Looks like a wedding, lots of chairs. We've got big stage, speakers, people dancing. Here's some pictures I took. This shows it's about 25 feet from our property line. I found it interesting that on their wall of their motel, it says, "Shake that funk, pump that bass." Found that quite interesting considering that this is a nightclub that we're presenting. Here's another picture that shows our space. This is the patio area. This is the stage that's already there. We did not put this there. That's already there. That was utilized by DTP when they leased the space. Picture of a ribbon cutting. And something very interesting to mention, this property is surrounded on two sides by parking garages. This parking garage is across the street from us. If you look at the El Cortez, there are no hotel rooms facing this business. There's a gigantic parking garage in between there and the El Cortez. So any mention of loud noise and music coming from our location when there's a parking garage across the street, I don't understand that. To the north of us is another parking garage. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Container Park is 1 block away. The Container Park has outdoor speakers. They play music late into the night. They have bands. They're located in the entertainment district overlay. In conclusion, I'd like to go over the fact that while there is this motel that they're operating in the entertainment district overlay, the hours of operation, and I've talked to business licensing and I've talked to planning at length. And these are some of the discussions I've had with you commissioners. The noise ordinances and the hours of operation do not apply to this business. And staff can speak to that if they'd like, if I've said something wrong, but from my research, this is the nightclub in the entertainment district overlay. Noise and hours of operation does not apply to this type of business, while they want to be good neighbors. While there is a patio component to this business, it's ancillary to the indoor operation. That seems to be the biggest hurdle here with the opposition, is the patio area. The DJ will be inside, dancing will be inside, the patio use will be used obviously for folks to smoke if they want to go outside and talk when the weather's nice. I'm not going to speak to the hours of operation. I'm not going to get into that myself. I would say that this type of business, and what I know about nightclubs, that generally their hours of operation are dictated by their clientele. So if it's a Thursday night and it's midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and there's 5 people there, I would assume they wouldn't want to keep the doors open. I want to also reiterate that they have spent a lot of money on noise reduction. There are rolling doors. They're also going to put noise reduction on that. With all that said, staff is recommending approval. I'm asking that you follow staff's recommendation for approval. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. There are some attorneys here that are involved. I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be one. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they've agreed to. But what I'd like to put on the record is that I'm here to represent my client in the best way that I can, and that's to allow them to operate within the law. The law that the city has allows them to operate what hours they want to operate, what days they want to operate, and if they do anything that breaks the law, then they will have to deal with the consequences. And finally, we will have to work with Metro and downtown, because Metro wants to work with these types of businesses. Metro's going to want a copy of our security plan. Metro's going to want to interface with our security. So with all that said, I can only ask you to approve the application following staff's recommendation, knowing that this business is allowed to be here, it's allowed to operate here, and they will be a good steward in this community. I've been dealing with these clients for months. They operate in other places. They haven't had any problems. And I can tell you that we don't want to have to come before you again because there's a problem with the business. And whenever I stand up here before you, it's my reputation on the line. So when I represent an application and I tell you these guys are going to do a good job, they're going to be a good business, you will be happy that you approved it, then I hope that you'll just know by as many times as I've come before you that that is just the fact. And with that, I will remain around for any questions, but I do believe there are a few other people that would like to speak. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Gentlemen, I'm guessing you are the lawyers of which Mr. Taylor spoke, and I would just like to request that any comments you make, please make sure that those are germane to this application, as we are an advisory body on the planning piece of it.
Sure. And thank you, Chairperson, Commissioners. I'm Stephen Mack. I'm an attorney here in 2712 West Oakey. My client's here with me, and I represent the owner of the business that's leasing the property. And I've spoken with the attorneys for Downtown Project, DTP, and with Cortez, and we want to be good neighbors. So what we've done is come to an agreement with them on the issues that they've presented previously and the issues that they have. In addition, we had a meeting with the city councilwoman's staff, and the only other person that was missing that was there I don't know if they're here, is the school district's interest in the hours of operation as far as school days. And so I want to kind of address that, because even if they're not here, we told them in the meeting that we would work a certain way with them, and I want that on the record as well, because we don't want anything hidden. We want to be good neighbors. Dara Goldsmith is here as well, and she can comment on the agreement that we did come to, and that is that during the week, during the Sunday through Thursday, not including holidays, that my client on the outside will shut down any music as of midnight, and on the, or I'm sorry, 11 p.m. Let me correct that, 11 p.m. And then on the weekends or holidays, that we will shut down the music outside at 1 a.m. Okay, that is something that we've agreed to with them. And with the school district part of it, we've agreed with them on school days that the club will be open no later than 4 a.m. Because we don't want to mix, and their concern really was the traffic of people coming to and from the school, and they were okay with that in our meeting. The other part of this is that if there is any issues with sound coming out of the the building itself. We would work with them to control that. If there's an issue, they're going to give us some notice and before they file any kind of complaint or try to come up with something so that we can try and fix it. In the back of the building, there's an area for trash and enclosures. We're going to actually extend the building a little bit to create a buffer out there so that it controls the sound from coming from inside. My clients are spending a lot of money on the soundproofing to try and keep this as quiet as possible on the inside. And so with those comments, and we agreed that instead of a 2-year license, we'd be okay with a 1 year, if just as a status check, because we're confident that we're going to be easy to comply with all the things. They've run a business for 5 years in Houston without a problem, without a complaint. We don't expect there to be any here, and we want to be good neighbors with these people and continue on. Did I miss anything there?
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I know she's on the opposition, but this is a collaboration, so.
That's great,
yeah.
okay.
We addressed that if there was.
I just need you to state your name and spell
My name
it for
is
the record.
Dara, D-A-R-A. My last name is Goldsmith, G-O-L-D-S-M-I-T-H. 2055 Village Center Circle, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89134. I'm counsel for the estate of Tony Shea as well as the DTP entities, of which Mr. Taylor recognized that in this zone, we own about 60 properties and operate them. The other item that we had addressed with Mr. Mack and his client was that if there was an emergency situation, that we saw that our agreement to work with them, in 2 weeks to corrective measures, that wouldn't be in place, that we would be looking at, if we needed to call the police because of an emergency, obviously we would be doing so. But reaching out, we would have our team, our DTP people on the ground, reach out with the operator and try to reach resolutions. We've been very collaborative. We've had discussions with Mr. Mack, his client, as well as Representatives El Cortez. And we think that it's important that the use permit here be a temporary use permit, just in the event there are issues with regard to sound. I think it's interesting that while I'm fully cognizant that this is in the feed district, that the purpose of the special use permits, which is what the application is for here, is to ensure that the proposed use is conducted in a manner that's harmonious and compatible with the uses located on the same or surrounding properties. And to that end, I think it's important to note that within a 350-foot radius, there are 541 guest rooms. And we made that point contacting staff because it really wasn't identified in the report. And the report fails to note that adjacent uses include hotel and motel rooms. And while I appreciate the pictures that Mr. Taylor presented, let's see, let me put this. Let's see, am I go there, do you see it, or no? Where am I?
Yes, I think it's back.
Has to go right there. You can see by that that those are the 541 guest rooms that are within a 350-foot radius of the nightclub. And that's really why, part and parcel, we feel that the staff report fails to recognize that. It's not mentioned on page 2 or mentioned on page 5 of the report, talking about adjacent items. Also, when you're looking at an SUP, you have a situation where you're looking at 1,500 feet for noticing provisions. That would also include for apartments that are operated by DTP over 300 to 350 to 400 units. So in the 1,500-foot parameter radius, you would hit the 211, which has over 315 units. Mr. Joe Woody is here today from the El Cortez, and he can address the multifamily development that they're putting just north of the Cabana Suites. And while Mr. Taylor did show the picture here of the parking garage, he failed to point out the adjacent use of the Cabana Suites, which are within the 350-foot radius of the operations. And those would be the cabana suites. The parking lot that's just north of the patio is the parking lot for the Downtowner boutique motel, which is only 20 feet across the alley, across the back. So that's why we're concerned. We really try to be collaborative. We know that while DTP operated the place on 7th, as a special event center, the El Cortez had issues sometimes, and we would work with the El Cortez to resolve those. We've tried to be collaborative, and I feel that in our conversations with Mr. Mack and his client, we've tried to be collaborative, and we're on the same page. We just really want to make sure that it's successful, the new business is successful, but not to the detriment of the existing operations, which includes those 541 guest rooms.
Thank you, Ms. Goldsmith.
The only other thing that I'd like to address, and I don't know, maybe the city attorney can answer this, we know it was being pulled to the city. This item was set to be pulled to the city apparently, mainly because of the oppositions that we had. But we've kind of settled that whole thing. I don't know that necessarily needs to go to city. Neither of us feel that it's necessary. So that would be up to, I'm not sure how that's done. But.
And I think I could be wrong.
Madam Chairwoman, it is going to City Council. I've already been instructed by planning that this is going to City Council. So am I correct in that this is going to City Council no matter what happens today?
Madam Chair, that is what I have in my notes.
Right.
So since, and I'll be quick, Madam Chair, just because my name was mentioned, I'd just like to say a couple things. I do not agree to any conditions on the application. I want to make that clear so that it's on the record that I don't agree with any conditions on this application. I don't think any temporary permit should be put on this. I think it should be just like any other business that gets approved here, that they get a 2-year review. I think that the city staff has done a great job. There's been mention that the city staff left stuff out of their report. Let me just say, the city staff did their job. Their report reads the way that the city staff believes the report should read. And finally, we're standing here because DTP and El Cortez is trying to dictate how my client runs their business. And with that said, I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, for the record, can we get a clarity on who's speaking for the client here?
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you that
well, so I was hired first by the client. I represent the property, actually the operators. I don't represent the property owners, just the operators. So the folks that are leasing the space is who I represent.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I was hired to take care of the issue that we've now taken care of. So what we've put on the record as a collaboration between the operator and DTP and El Cortez is the way that the client feels. I just want to be very clear about that.
Okay, so let me ask a question.
So I apologize.
All right, let me ask a question, because this is just, the applicant is Cedras Investments LLC. Who represents Cedras Investments LLC?
I do.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Ma'am, please hold for a moment. Let me just.
I represent the landlord here. My name is Hera Armenian, 115 North 7th Street. And Stephen Mack represents the tenant here today, who is Cedras Investments.
You have a contract with me, and Sammy signed the contract, so don't play games. Okay.
Hey.
Don't play games.
My name is Bilal Razak.
All right, hold on, everybody, for a moment, please. Just give us a second here, because this is an item that's for public hearing, and it was, Ms. Goldsmith, you probably should have been part of public hearing, and it's just, we're going to just, everybody step back, please, from the mics for a minute.
Get out of here. You need to get out of here. Right now. You threatened me in a city meeting.
What did I say?
Marshals, I've been threatened. That's on the record. I'd ask him to be removed. This has never happened before in 25 years of me doing this. He threatened me and he needs to be removed. Okay. He got in my face and threatened me to leave.
All right, folks, I'm prepared to make a motion on this item. I'm going to make a motion that this be obeyed for 60 days. There's obviously a fair number of issues that need to be worked out. So that is my motion on the floor to obey Agenda Item 27 for 60 days.
And that would be to the May 13th meeting.
Yep, so please, folks, cast your vote.
Madam Chair,
We're doing a vote.
before you vote, may I speak? So if we have an applicant, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around this because I've never seen this kind of stuff either before. If we have an applicant who's willing to concede to conditions when those conditions shouldn't even be imposed on him, and the businesses agree with the operator, why would we obey it for 60 days if they're willing to adjust to conditions in which they shouldn't even have to? And I think you stated that you would Sunday through Thursday outside no later than 11 p.m. for noise, Friday and Saturday to 1 p.m., club hours of 4 a.m. during schools in session, if I understand that correctly, and then 1 year a status check instead of 2.
Correct,
right?
and that is the operator's desire to do. That's the collaboration that we have with the opposing parties, 100%. And it would be 11 p.m. on weekdays that aren't, and then holidays and weekends would be to 1 a.m.
Okay.
on the outside. And that's all agreed to.
The
Everything's
only
agreed, so
other
there's-
thing that was not mentioned is, let's talk decibels at that time. So noise outside to 11 or 1 in the morning, if that's the case. What are we talking? Are we talking like ambient music to where I could still have a conversation this far away from somebody? Or are we talking about just, pounding speaker noise?
So most of the time, it will be just an ambient music that's out there for people that are smoking. We are going to have corporate events. We are going to have different events out there. It's like a mini DTLV, or the event center, right? Because of the fact that it's kind of unique. There's no other property down like it where it has that kind of a stage and an open presence. So we might have some live entertainment there, but it will end at those time frames.
Okay.
So that's the intent of the use. It's not going to be used every day, and it's not going to be used for their normal business.
And you're satisfied with the 11 o'clock and the 1 o'clock?
My clients are very happy with that.
Okay. Madam Chair, that's the only reason I interrupted.
And obeying this 60 days would probably tank it, because they've got a lot of money already in it and need to get open.
And you still have to go before City Council, correct?
Apparently, we were trying to avoid, even the collaborator, I mean, the opposers, DTP and us, were trying to avoid having to go to the city, because the whole reason it was going to be pulled to city was because of the opposition. But since there is no opposition anymore, since we're agreeing to all the terms, that's why we were trying to just keep it here.
Okay. All right, so just one more time, let's just walk through this, because to me, talking about any of your conditions is not ripe, because we don't know who's actually speaking on this application, right? So who is, the applicant is Cedras. Who represents Cedras? And I don't want comments, I just want hand raise. Okay, who represents 7th Street Properties LLC?
Nobody.
I am.
No.
I am.
Sorry. Sorry.
Who represents the property? Ross is not the owner. They're talking
Now, according to the application, the applicant is Cedras Investments LLC, and the owner is 7th Street Properties LLC.
That's your company.
I want a clear delineation of who is representing who.
I represent Citrus.
You represent Cedras.
I'm their attorney.
Who represents owner 7th Street Properties LLC?
I do.
Who has the authority to speak for the applicant?
I do. I have a signed
He has a
contract.
contract, but
I have a signed
honestly, at
contract.
this point in time,
Sir.
the client does not.
The applicant is present, that is Cedras.
Right.
Good evening. I am the owner of Cedras Investments.
What is your name, and please
My
spell
name is
it?
Bilal Razak, okay? And yes, we did retain Mr. Taylor, but I, as the owner of Cedras Investments, would like him to be excused and not speak on my behalf anymore.
Okay. Okay, if, sir, if you would like to speak for yourself, you may. But, you know, we need to move this along in an orderly fashion. So, again, my motion was for a 60-day abeyance so that you can all sort this out. I recognize, Mr. Mack, you're saying that this may tank the deal. However, this is a very messy application. It's a very messy set of facts. We haven't even gotten to public hearing yet, and you guys have so much infighting going on that we can't actually have a cogent conversation about conditions, about whether or not there are, as Mr. Taylor has asserted, no limits. You know, whether I had questions specifically on the conditions that you guys presented. So we have one other application, one other item after this, 28. So what I would like to do is I'm going to trail you. We're going to hear 28. You guys go figure it out and then come back with your representatives, okay? Thank you.
And Chair, through you, this is Deputy City Clerk Nick Crawford. There is a motion on the floor, so can our city attorney please advise how to
Yes.
proceed?
Thank you.
The motion's tabled until we pull the item back.
Okay. All right, thank you. So is that tabled now, sir? Mr. Clerk? We've got that tabled, the motion?
Yes, we do, Chair.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. All right, let's go to item 28, which is abeyance 24-0674-SUP1, special use permit, public hearing, applicant Amel LLC owner, FAEC Holdings, Warula LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 2,849 square foot alcohol on-premise full use at 450 Street, Suite 135, APN 139-34-513-002, C2 General Commercial Zone, Ward 5, Summers Armstrong. Staff recommends approval. May I have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, the proposed alcohol land use can be conducted in a manner that is harmonious and compatible with the existing surrounding land uses. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested special use permit subject to conditions. Please note there were additional documents of protest received after publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Nathan Taylor, 8414 West Farm Road. This is in the Neonopolis. This is an additional location of the Hush Puppy Restaurant. It's been here for 50 years. We would appreciate you follow staff's recommendation for approval. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm having a computer issue right now. Apologize. All right. Mr. Taylor, I'm sorry. Was there anything else to present on the project?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir. This item has been noticed for public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on agenda item 28? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment, and I'm going to pass it back to the commission, starting with Commissioner Munford.
I see no issues or any problems with this. I would motion that we approve it. If there's any other commissioners that have any comments.
Deputy City Clerk Nick Crawford, for the record, that is to approve subject to conditions.
That's correct, subject to conditions.
Thank
And
you.
we accept all staff's conditions.
Thank you. Let me check with the rest of the commissioners. Anybody else have items on, or comments on agenda item 28? Okay. Seeing none, if you would like to officially make your motion, Commissioner Munford?
I motion for approval. That's item number 28, 24-0674-SUPI, special use permit, per conditions of planning.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Please cast your votes.
Commissioner DeSalvio, yay. My screen timed out.
Thank you. Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Please post. And that item carries.
And Madam Chairwoman, sorry, that item will move forward to City Council on April 16th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. 27, agenda item 27, you guys have everything sorted out on representation?
Madam Chair, I believe they just stepped into the alcove there to get everyone to
Okay.
come back in.
All
And then
right.
I think we have a path forward.
It has been suggested that perhaps we take a couple-minute recess just to get everybody gathered back in here now that you have everything straightened out. So we are on recess for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I'll take the 5 minutes. I got work tomorrow.
Okay, folks, we're going to go back on the record, please, for agenda item 27. That was a longer than 5-minute break, but we have had a lot of stuff going on here to catch everyone up. We've got to do some procedural things. So first of all, I made a motion to continue this for 60 days. I would like to rescind the motion. Is that the appropriate thing to do, City Attorney Radilla?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So that motion is rescinded. The second thing that I would like to do is just clarify again who is representing who. Mr. Mack, please come to the podium. I just want to get on the record. Are you now the sole person representing the applicant, Sidraz Investments LLC, and do you have authority to accept any conditions placed on the applicant by this commission?
Yes, I have authority, and yes, I have the ability and authority to accept any conditions.
Okay, great, thanks. So what we did not do, because we did not have a chance to, we did not open this up for public hearing because we had the nice collaborative discussion going on, and so now let's have public hearing. This was noticed as a public hearing item. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on the item? And before you do speak, sir, as you come down, Mr. Floyd, did I miss anything in terms of the summary?
No, Madam Chair, that was well done.
Thank you, sir. Okay, please state and spell your name for the record.
Joe Woody, Joewoody, El Cortez. And I just wanted to state for the record that, we did meet with the representative of the tenant over there, and we were not intimidating. I think our point being that our investment in the El Cortez has been significant. When the entertainment district first opened up, we were part of that organizing group, and so we've been there the entire time. And since that time, we've invested over $100 million in the El Cortez, and including $25 million in the last year. We currently have plans to remodel the Cabana Suites. We're in the process of getting new drawings. We got a designer hired, and we are also going to be want to show these residences that we were currently looking at that are just north of the Cabana Suites. And so while we agree with the applicant that under these conditions we're acceptable to that, we just want to make sure that they adhere to that and that we have that opportunity to object during this 1-year period. And so we just want to make that super clear. And we're going to put a lot more money into the El Cortez and downtown, and we want good neighbors. We think these future tenants are good. We like the landowners, and so we just want to see the process go through.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woody. Anybody else?
Thank you.
For public hearing? And if you have spoken already, feel free not to repeat prior comments. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were coming to speak, Ms. Goldsmith. Okay, so seeing no other comments, I will go ahead and close public comment. I have some questions for you, Mr. Mack. Let me just confirm with the other commissioners that they have no comments. Okay, great. So, Mr. Mack, well, actually, hold on one second. There were a couple things that were said that I want to get some clarification from our city attorney on. There were representations that because this is the entertainment district, really there are no restrictions that can be placed on the use permit or on the use itself. Mr. Radilla, can you please provide us with some clarity on that?
While the code doesn't explicitly require the noise requirements in Title 9 to apply to the entertainment district, they're coming in for a special use permit, which we can reasonably condition. And there are limitations on the noise, such as speakers being faced into the building and such. So with the fact that they're coming in for an SUP, I think it's reasonable to put reasonable restrictions on any noise issues in the entertainment district.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radilla. And speaking of speakers being pointed into the building, is that a discretionary restriction or is that part of some other code?
That's actually in the code.
Thank you. All right, so I have a couple questions, Mr. Mack, briefly, and I think that those will be addressed in a set of conditions. Actually, you know what, let's do it this way. Do we have a set of conditions that we can share and
Madam
confirm?
Chair, through you, yes, we do.
If you could please read those conditions, Ms. Eddowes.
Madam Chair, the conditions we have are the nightclub shall close at 8 a.m. with the exception of Clark County School District scheduled school days. The nightclub shall close at 4 a.m. On weekday, non-holidays, the outdoor patio shall close at 11 p.m. On weekends and holidays, the outdoor patio shall close at 1 a.m. And finally, a required review shall be performed 6 months from date of issuance of a business license and at 1 year from date of issuance from a business license. The applicant shall be responsible for the submittal of the required review application and associated fees.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Eddowes. I have one last note, and I'm sorry about this, but there was one last note about the emergency situation, and there would be 2 weeks for corrective measures. Is that something that should be placed in as a condition, or is that something that is just between 2 private parties?
Just between us, I think. Just between us.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So then, with that all being said...
Chair, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
There was an additional condition that was contemplated, I believe, that the patio would have ambient music, which would be defined as music that you can sort of have a conversation over.
Right, but that would still end at those time periods.
But that the music on the patio would generally be ambient, absent a special event permit for a concert or other activity?
Correct.
Okay. So then let's go ahead and put that in a condition as well, if that's acceptable to the applicant. So it would be a condition that said music would be ambient and shut off at the hours agreed to, absent a
Special event or concert or
permit
something.
for live music.
Well, yeah, concert, special events, corporate events, weddings, whatever.
Okay.
So I believe that condition would read, outdoor areas are limited to ambient music only, except in the case of a special event permit. At no time shall music be loud enough to cover normal conversation.
Are you amenable to that condition, Mr.
Yeah,
Mack?
do we need a special event permit, though, to hold events in there? We do? Or does it come under the license?
Madam Chair, if that condition is added, they would be restricted to ambient music only on the patio, and then in order to have anything louder than ambient music, they would need a special event permit.
I wouldn't want that as a restriction. I mean, I would prefer if we just, I mean, that's one of our things that we will do as we will plan on doing. We're not planning on playing the music that's inside, outside. It's only when we're having the events outside that it won't be. Does that make sense? I don't want to have my client have to come in every time that they have a wedding or a corporate event or even a live music, and that have to get a special permit for that, especially since it's already okay under their license.
The way
We're just going to, I mean, the reality is we're just going to keep ambient music out there, during the period of time that people, till 11 p.m. We may even not do that.
Director Floyd?
All right. Mr. Radilla, did you have a question?
Director Floyd, so if they're licensed as a club, if they want to have a wedding or a concert, they would have to either expand their business license or get a special event permit, correct? as a club, can you have those type of events? I'm not familiar enough with the
You
licensing.
can, right?
You can. So what I think might make sense, Madam Chair, is just to, I think that condition's going to be a little tricky to write, is to not have that condition. What we can do is at that 6-month or 1-year review, if there are issues that need to be addressed related to events or noise, we can address it through a condition at that time.
Thank you.
That sounds good.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, so, anybody have any other conditions or issues? If not, I am going to make a motion in line with staff's recommendation to approve abeyance 24-0672 SUP1 applicant, oh, no, I'm not, because I did do public hearing. I closed it and everything. Okay, it's late. It is late, and this was supposed to be a short agenda. All right. Item
And we
number.
apologize, and by the way, we
It's okay.
wholeheartedly
You don't even need to
apologize for
apologize,
the
Mr. Mack. Agenda item 27, abeyance 24-0672 SUP1, applicant Cedraz Investments LLC, owner 7th Street Properties LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 12,700 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a 7,650 square foot outdoor patio at 115 North 7th Street. Move to approve that item. Oh,
That's with-
subject to a 6-month review and subject to all conditions. And you agree to all conditions into the 6-month and the 1-year review. Okay. That is the motion on the floor. Please cast your votes. Commissioner Walsh. Oh, no. You did. Commissioner DeSalvio. Okay, fantastic. All right, please post. And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience and your work on this, and
that-
see,
Oh, sorry, Madam Chair, that is final
And
action
that is
tonight.
final action.
unless-
Thank you very much.
Unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
we'll see you in 6 months-ish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And that closes out all of our public hearing items. And the last item that we have is citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. So I'm going to open public discussion now. Seeing none, I'm going to close public discussion. And with that, we are adjourned.